Our idol group is terrible at being normal. PRISM is a 5-member idol group that has everything an entertainment company could ask for. They are talented, handsome, hardworking, and incredibly popular. Their performances are flawless. Their music tops the charts. Their interviews are charming. Their fans adore their close friendship. From the outside, PRISM looks like the definition of a perfect idol group. Behind closed doors, however, they are complete disasters. Leader Kang Jiwon desperately tries to keep everyone under control, despite being just as competitive and childish as the others. Main dancer Han Seojun is energetic enough to power the entire dorm and has absolutely no sense of volume control. Visual Yoon Taehyun looks like an elegant prince but behaves like a strange old man who has somehow become a celebrity. Rapper and producer Park Minwoo is quiet and intelligent, until he says exactly what everyone else is thinking during a live broadcast. And their sweet youngest member, Choi Yubin, appears innocent to fans while secretly being the biggest troublemaker in the group. Together, the 5 have one major problem. They don't know how to act normal. A simple trip to the convenience store becomes a fan encounter. A cooking livestream becomes a competition. A vacation becomes a disaster. A casual interview becomes a viral meme. A game night becomes a matter of life and death. Even buying groceries somehow turns into breaking news. Their exhausted manager constantly reminds them, "You're celebrities. Please behave normally." PRISM always promises they will. They never do. But beneath all the chaos, laughter, embarrassing moments, and ridiculous situations is the story of 5 young men who grew up together, chased the same dream, and became family along the way. As PRISM rises from promising rookies to one of the industry's biggest idol groups, they discover that fame isn't always about glamorous stages and flashing cameras. Sometimes it's eating ramen together at 2 in the morning. Sometimes it's arguing over who finished the milk. Sometimes it's quietly supporting a member who's having a bad day. And sometimes, it's 5 grown men hiding from their manager because they accidentally broke something in the dorm. PRISM may be terrible at being normal. But together, they're exactly where they belong. Chapter 1, Please Behave Like Normal People. At exactly 7 o'clock in the morning, the dormitory of PRISM was already loud. Not because they were practicing. Not because they were preparing for an important schedule. Not because there was an emergency. It was loud because Seojun had lost his cereal. "Who took my cereal?" A door slammed open. Jiwon appeared in the hallway, still wearing pajamas. "Why are you screaming? My cereal is gone." Jiwon stared at him, then at the empty cereal box in Seojun's hand. Then back at Seojun. "You ate it yesterday." Seojun blinked. "No, I didn't." "You did. I wouldn't remember something like that. You ate it while watching a movie." "I watched a movie yesterday." "Yes. What movie?" "I don't know." "Then how do you know I ate my cereal?" Jiwon slowly closed his eyes. He was already tired. It was 7 in the morning. Their manager, Mr. Han, had specifically warned them yesterday. "Tomorrow is your first major variety show appearance of the comeback. Please, for once, behave like normal human beings." Jiwon had promised. He had even made the other members promise. It had been a beautiful moment. 5 grown men standing together with their hands raised. "We'll behave. We'll be professional. We'll protect PRISM's reputation." It had lasted approximately 14 hours. "Where is my cereal?" Jiwon sighed. In the kitchen, Taehyun was calmly drinking coffee. He looked flawless. His silver brown hair was neatly styled despite having just woken up. His skin was clear, his expression peaceful, and his oversized cream sweater made him look like the protagonist of a luxury fashion advertisement. Minwoo sat beside him, working on his laptop. Yubin was eating toast. Nobody looked concerned. Jiwon walked into the kitchen. "Did any of you take Seojun's cereal?" Taehyun took another sip. "Yes." Jiwon looked at him. "You?" "No." "Then who?" Taehyun pointed at Yubin. Yubin stopped chewing. Slowly. Very slowly. He lowered his toast. "Why are you looking at me?" "Because you ate it." "I did not." "You have cereal crumbs on your shirt." Yubin looked down. There were, indeed, cereal crumbs on his shirt. He immediately covered them with his hand. Evidence can be fabricated. Minwoo finally looked up from his laptop. "You're a terrible liar." "I prefer strategic denial." Jiwon rubbed his forehead. Yubin. "Yes, Hung. Did you eat Seojun's cereal?" Yubin smiled. "Maybe." From the hallway came a scream. Yubin. Yubin jumped up. Run. He bolted. Seojun chased after him. Come back here. It was just cereal. It was my favorite cereal. You can buy more. That's not the point. The two disappeared around the corner. A loud crash followed. Jiwon froze. Minwoo slowly closed his laptop. Taehyun calmly drank his coffee. Jiwon whispered, "Please don't let that be the table." Another crash. It was the table. 20 minutes later, all 5 members were finally sitting in the living room. Their manager stood in front of them. He had a clipboard. He had dark circles under his eyes. He looked like a man who had seen too much. "Today, Mr. Han said, you have 3 schedules." The 5 members listened. First, a radio appearance. They nodded. Second, the variety show. They nodded again. Third, a livestream with fans. Everyone nodded. Mr. Han looked at each of them. "And I have one request." Jiwon straightened. "We'll behave." Mr. Han stared at him. "You say that every time. This time is different." "Why?" Jiwon confidently answered. "Because I told them." Mr. Han looked at the other 4. Seojun smiled. Taehyun looked innocent. Minwoo was typing something. Yubin was hiding something behind his back. Mr. Han narrowed his eyes. "What are you holding?" Yubin smiled. "Nothing." "Show me." "No." Yubin. The maknae reluctantly held out his hand. It contained a tiny plastic dinosaur. Mr. Han stared at it. "Why?" "I found it." "Where?" "In Seojun's shoe." Seojun's face changed. "You put that there." Yubin laughed. Mr. Han closed his eyes. "Please." Nobody spoke. "Just." He took a deep breath. "Behave like normal people." The first schedule went surprisingly well. The radio host complimented PRISM on their professionalism. Jiwon answered questions thoughtfully. Taehyun spoke elegantly. Minwoo talked about producing their new album. Yubin was polite. Even Seojun managed to remain seated for the entire interview. Mr. Han listened from behind the glass. For once, everything was going according to plan. Then the host asked, "PRISM is known for being very close. What's the secret to your teamwork?" Jiwon smiled. "We've been together for a long time. We understand each other." Seojun nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly." Taehyun smiled. "We're basically family." Minwoo nodded. Yubin smiled sweetly. Then Seojun suddenly raised his hand. The host laughed. "Yes, Seojun. I have a question." "Go ahead." Seojun looked at Jiwon. "Hung, did you eat the last dumpling last night?" Silence. Jiwon slowly turned his head. "What? The last dumpling? You ate it?" "No, I didn't." "You absolutely did. I remember putting it in the refrigerator. And I remember you eating it. Then why did I find the empty container in your room?" Jiwon froze. The host stared at them. The staff stared at them. Minwoo slowly covered his face. Taehyun whispered, "This is getting good." Yubin was already laughing. Jiwon leaned toward the microphone. "Can we edit this part out?" The host burst out laughing. "No." By lunchtime, the clip was already spreading online. PRISM leader exposed over 1 dumpling. PRISM's biggest enemy, their refrigerator. 5 idols, 0 normal behavior. Mr. Han looked at his phone. He sighed. 1 schedule. Jiwon looked over. "What? You made it through 1 schedule. That's good. Then you ruined it. That's not fair." Mr. Han showed him the trending post. Jiwon stared. Seojun leaned over his shoulder. "Oh, we're trending." Yubin grinned. "That's good, right?" Minwoo nodded. "Technically." Taehyun looked at the comments. "They seem to like us." Jiwon smiled. "See, everything is fine." Mr. Han stared at him. "You were supposed to behave normally." Jiwon thought about it, then looked at the 4 members beside him. Seojun was trying to steal Minwoo's phone. Yubin was secretly putting another plastic dinosaur into Seojun's bag. Taehyun was calmly eating someone else's fries. Jiwon sighed. Maybe normal was never going to happen. And perhaps that was okay. After all, PRISM had never been ordinary. They were 5 ridiculous people who somehow became idols. And they were about to become much more famous. Which meant only one thing. Their disasters were about to become much bigger. Chapter 2, The Variety Show from Hell. PRISM's second schedule of the day was a variety show. According to their manager, it was supposed to be easy. Just sit down, answer questions, play a few games, and don't cause trouble. Mr. Han repeated the instructions while the 5 members sat in the waiting room. Jiwon nodded seriously. We understand. Seojun nodded. Absolutely. Taehyun nodded. Of course. Minwoo nodded while scrolling through his phone. Yubin nodded with an innocent smile. Mr. Han looked at all 5 of them. Why do I feel like something is going to happen? Nobody answered. That was already suspicious. The moment PRISM entered the studio, the atmosphere changed. The hosts greeted them enthusiastically. Welcome, PRISM. The audience cheered. The 5 members bowed together. Hello. We are PRISM. Perfect. Professional. Polished. Normal. Mr. Han watched from backstage. Maybe today would actually be different. Then the host smiled. We've heard that PRISM is extremely close. Jiwon smiled. Yes. We've been together for years. Then let's find out how well you actually know each other. The members looked at one another. Seojun immediately became excited. Quiz. That's right. The host revealed a large screen. How well do you know your members? The audience cheered. Jiwon relaxed. A quiz. Easy. There was no way this could go wrong. The first question appeared. Question 1. Who wakes up first every morning? All 5 members wrote their answers. 3, 2, 1. They raised their boards. Jiwon, Jiwon, Seojun, Jiwon, Taehyun, Jiwon, Minwoo, Jiwon, Yubin, Jiwon. The host laughed. Everyone agrees. Jiwon smiled proudly. As leader, I have to be responsible. Minwoo looked at him. You wake up because you set 17 alarms. The audience laughed. Jiwon's smile disappeared. I still wake up first. You wake everyone else up first. That's leadership. Question 2. Who is the messiest member? The 5 members raised their boards. Jiwon, Seojun, Seojun, Jiwon, Taehyun, Seojun, Minwoo, Seojun, Yubin, Seojun. Seojun stared at the others. Why? Taehyun calmly explained. Your room has 3 different chairs. So, none of them are being used as chairs. The host laughed. Then what are they for? Taehyun thought for a moment. Clothes. Seojun defended himself. It's an organizational system. Minwoo shook his head. It's a biological ecosystem. The audience exploded with laughter. Question 3. Who is the biggest troublemaker? This time, all 5 members immediately wrote their answers. The host counted down. 3, 2, 1. They raised their boards. Every single board said, Yubin. The magnay's smile vanished. What? Jiwon pointed at him. You hid my phone in the refrigerator. That was funny. You replaced my alarm sound with a goat. You needed to wake up. You put googly eyes on my shampoo bottles. They looked better. Seojun raised his hand. He also put a dinosaur in my shoe. Yubin smiled. You found it. That doesn't make it better. The host was barely able to speak through his laughter. Yubin, do you have anything to say in your defense? Yubin thought carefully. Then smiled sweetly. I'm a victim of misunderstanding. All 4 members shouted at once. No, you're not. The next game was called, Who Said It? The hosts prepared quotes from the members' previous interviews and live streams. The first quote appeared. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if I disappeared for 3 days and turned off my phone. The members stared at the screen. Jiwon immediately pointed at Minwoo. Minwoo. Minwoo didn't even bother denying it. That's me. The audience laughed. The host asked, why? Minwoo shrugged. I like being alone sometimes. Jiwon nodded. That's normal. The host revealed another quote. I have named the refrigerator. Everyone turned toward Taehyun. Taehyun blinked. What? The audience laughed. The host grinned. You named your refrigerator. Yes. What is its name? Taehyun calmly answered. Gerald. There was complete silence. Seojun slowly turned toward him. You never told us that. You never asked. Why Gerald? I thought it suited him. Minwoo covered his mouth. Jiwon stared at the floor. Yubin was already laughing. The host wiped away a tear. Taehyun, do you name other appliances? Some. The washing machine is Steven. The microwave, Margaret. The television, Mr. Kim. The host stared at him. Why does the television have a Korean surname? Taehyun shrugged. I don't know. The final game was supposed to be simple. Dance challenge. The host announced. Each member will have to dance to a random song. Seojun immediately stood up. Finally. Jiwon looked nervous. Why are you excited? This is my area. The music started. Seojun danced perfectly. Sharp movements. Perfect rhythm. Clean footwork. The audience cheered. The host shouted, "Wow!" Even Jiwon looked impressed. Then the song suddenly changed. It was a children's song. Seojun didn't hesitate. He continued dancing. Somehow, he made it look cool. The audience screamed with laughter. Then it was Taehyun's turn. The music started. He danced elegantly. Too elegantly. It looked like a luxury perfume commercial. The host stared. "Why does this look expensive?" Taehyun didn't answer. Next was Minwoo. His song was an old trot track. He stood completely still for 3 seconds. Then started dancing with the most serious expression imaginable. The members collapsed. Minwoo. He continued without changing his expression. This is art. Finally, it was Yubin's turn. The music began. It was a cute children's song. Yubin smiled. The audience immediately went, "Ah." He danced perfectly. Cute. Precise. Adorable. Jiwon relaxed. "See. He's behaving." Then Yubin suddenly grabbed Seojun's shoulders and pulled him into the dance. Seojun screamed, "Why me?" Yubin laughed. The host joined in. Then Taehyun joined. Then Minwoo. Within seconds, all 4 members were dancing. Jiwon stood alone. The audience shouted, "Jiwon! Jiwon! Jiwon!" Jiwon shook his head. No. The chant became louder. "Jiwon! Jiwon! Jiwon!" He sighed. Fine. He joined. The studio erupted. Backstage, Mr. Han watched the monitor. The producer walked up beside him. "They're fun." Mr. Han stared at the screen. Seojun was attempting to carry Yubin. Taehyun was dancing while holding a microphone stand. Minwoo was laughing so hard he could barely stand. Jiwon was desperately trying to restore order. Mr. Han sighed. "They're impossible." The producer smiled. "But the audience loves them." Mr. Han looked at the live comments. They were flying across the screen. "PRISM is hilarious. Why is Taehyun like this? Yubin is definitely the menace. Jiwon looks like he's raising 4 children. Minwoo's deadpan face lol. I need more PRISM variety content." Mr. Han stared at the comments. Then slowly smiled. Maybe this wasn't a disaster. Maybe this was exactly why people loved PRISM. After filming ended, the 5 members returned to the waiting room. Seojun collapsed onto the sofa. "I'm hungry." "You just ate," Jiwon said. "I'm still hungry." Taehyun opened a snack. "Here." Seojun reached for it. Yubin suddenly grabbed it first. "Mine." Yubin. Minwoo started laughing. Jiwon looked toward the ceiling. "Why am I the leader?" His phone suddenly buzzed. A message from Mr. Han. "Good news. The variety show producer wants PRISM to return." Jiwon smiled. Then another message arrived. "Bad news. They want you to bring your manager next time." Jiwon looked at the others. "What did we do?" All 4 answered at once. "Nothing." Jiwon stared at them. "Exactly." And somewhere outside the waiting room, the show's producer was already planning their next episode. PRISM had officially become a variety show favorite. They just didn't know it yet. Chapter 3, The Livestream Incident. By 8:30 that evening, PRISM was back at their dorm. They had survived the radio appearance. They had survived the variety show. They had even survived the trip home without losing a member. According to Jiwon, the day was officially a success. "We're done," he announced. Seojun collapsed onto the sofa. Finally, Taehyun walked toward the kitchen. "I'm hungry." Minwoo opened his laptop. "I'm going to work on the album." Yubin quietly disappeared down the hallway. Jiwon frowned. "Where are you going?" "To my room." "Why?" "To rest." Jiwon narrowed his eyes. Yubin smiled innocently. "I'm tired." Jiwon watched him disappear. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. But he was too tired to investigate. Then the doorbell rang. Everyone froze. Seojun sat up. "Did someone order food?" "No," Jiwon said. The doorbell rang again. Minwoo looked toward the security monitor. "It's the staff." Jiwon sighed in relief. Their manager entered carrying several bags. "Good. Everyone's here." He put the bags on the table. "Your livestream starts in 30 minutes. The room went silent. Jiwon slowly turned toward him. "Right." Seojun groaned. "I forgot. That's why I'm here." Mr. Han looked around. "Where's Yubin?" Jiwon pointed toward the hallway. "In his room." Mr. Han nodded. "Good. I need everyone downstairs in 20 minutes." He left. The moment the door closed, Seojun whispered. Can we pretend we don't exist? No, Jiwon said. Can we fake an emergency? No. Can we fake being kidnapped? Absolutely not. Taehyun raised his hand. What if we fake being asleep? Jiwon stared at him. You are all adults. Minwoo looked up from his laptop. Technically. 20 minutes later, the 5 members were sitting in front of a camera. The livestream began. The viewer count climbed rapidly. PRISM official live. Welcome, PRISM. We missed you. The variety show was so funny. Seojun waved at the camera. Hello. Yubin smiled. Hi, everyone. Taehyun leaned closer. Can you see us clearly? Minwoo checked the monitor. Yes. Jiwon smiled. Thank you for joining us tonight. Everything was perfect. Calm. Professional. Normal. Then a comment appeared. WHO is the most handsome member. Seojun immediately pointed at himself. Me. Jiwon laughed. You didn't even think about it. I don't need to. Taehyun calmly said. Confidence is important. Minwoo nodded. Delusion is also important. Seojun stared at him. Are you insulting me? Yes. The comments exploded. Minwoo lol. They're already fighting. PRISM please never change. Another comment appeared. WHO is the messiest member. All 4 older members pointed at Seojun. Seojun looked offended. Again, Yubin quietly raised his hand. The others looked at him. You think I'm messy? No. Yubin smiled. I think you're very organized. Seojun looked relieved. Thank you. You organize all your clothes into piles on the floor. Seojun's mouth dropped open. That's still organization. The comments flooded the screen. Pile organization tears of joy. Seojun is never escaping this. Why is Yubin so mean? Yubin smiled sweetly. Then someone asked. Taehyun, is it true you named your refrigerator? Taehyun blinked. How did you know that? Jiwon turned toward him. Wait, you didn't tell us that. Taehyun shrugged. The variety show did. Minwoo looked at the camera. His refrigerator is named Gerald. Seojun leaned toward the microphone. Gerald is apparently a member of PRISM now. Taehyun nodded seriously. He's very reliable. Jiwon stared at him. You're talking about a refrigerator. Yes. Why are you so serious? Because Gerald is listening. Everyone stopped. Seojun slowly looked toward the kitchen. The refrigerator can't hear you. Taehyun gave him a disappointed look. You don't know that. The comment section went insane. Then Yubin suddenly stood up. I'll get some water. Jiwon nodded. Okay. Yubin walked off camera. 5 seconds passed. 10. 15. Jiwon glanced toward the hallway. Where is he? Seojun shrugged. Probably getting water. Minwoo frowned. He's been gone too long. Taehyun looked suspicious. I agree. Jiwon stood. Yubin. No answer. He walked toward the hallway. Yubin. Still nothing. Then, bang. Jiwon stopped. Seojun jumped out of his chair. What was that? Another sound followed. Crash. Minwoo closed his laptop. That definitely wasn't water. Taehyun stood. I think he's in trouble. Jiwon sighed. Of course he is. The 4 members rushed down the hallway. The camera was still recording. Millions of fans were watching. Jiwon opened Yubin's door. Yubin. Yubin was standing in the middle of his room. Surrounded by balloons, confetti, snacks, a tiny cake, and a giant handmade sign. PRISM Livestream Survival Kit. Jiwon stared. What is this? Yubin smiled. I prepared snacks. Seojun stared at the mess. You made that much noise for snacks. I dropped the balloon box. Minwoo looked at the floor. You dropped everything. Yes. Taehyun picked up a tiny banner. Why does this say, don't tell the manager? Yubin immediately took it away. It's decorative. Then Mr. Han's voice came from behind them. What are you doing? Everyone froze. Slowly, they turned around. Their manager stood at the end of the hallway. His expression was terrifyingly calm. Jiwon pointed at Yubin. He did it. Yubin pointed at Seojun. Seojun helped. Seojun's eyes widened. I did not. Minwoo pointed at Taehyun. Taehyun named the refrigerator. Taehyun looked offended. That's unrelated. Mr. Han stared at all 5. Then he looked toward the living room. The livestream camera was still running. The entire argument had been broadcast. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then Minwoo looked at his phone. The comments are exploding. Jiwon grabbed his phone. He read them. This is the best livestream ever. They forgot the camera was on. Manager Han is the real sixth member. Yoobin's survival kit tears of joy. Please show us the dorm. Seojun laughed. We're trending again, Mr. Han looked horrified. You were supposed to have a normal livestream. Jiwon smiled awkwardly. We did, Mr. Han pointed at the hallway. You're standing in a room covered in confetti. Jiwon looked around. That's normal for us. Taehyun nodded. He's right, Mr. Han slowly looked at the ceiling. Why? The livestream eventually ended 40 minutes later. The members returned to the living room. They were exhausted. Seojun was still eating snacks. Taehyun was carrying a cup of coffee. Minwoo was checking the live reactions. Yoobin was quietly cleaning up the confetti. Jiwon looked at his 4 members. Today wasn't terrible. Minwoo looked at him. We went viral 3 times. Good viral. Mostly. Minwoo turned his phone around. A headline was already appearing. PRISM's livestream descends into chaos as members forget their live. Jiwon stared at it. Seojun laughed. Taehyun smiled. Yoobin looked proud. Jiwon sighed. We really are terrible at being normal. Seojun grinned. But we're good at being PRISM. For once, nobody argued. Even Jiwon smiled. Then the doorbell rang again. Everyone looked at the door. Mr. Han shouted from the kitchen. If that's another camera crew, I'm moving out. The 5 members burst out laughing. Their manager was never going to have a peaceful life. And PRISM. They were only getting started. Chapter 4, One Normal Day. The next morning, PRISM received an emergency meeting. That was never a good sign. The 5 members sat around the conference table at their agency. Jiwon sat straight. Seojun was eating a sandwich. Taehyun was quietly watering a tiny plant he'd brought with him. Minwoo was checking his phone. Yoobin was spinning around in his chair. Across from them sat their manager, Mr. Han, along with the company's PR director. The PR director placed a tablet on the table. Before we begin, she turned the screen toward them. A video was playing. It showed the previous night's livestream. Seojun eating snacks. Taehyun talking about Gerald. Minwoo making sarcastic comments. Yoobin surrounded by balloons. Jiwon looking increasingly exhausted. Then came the moment when they forgot the camera was still recording. The video ended. The PR director smiled. Congratulations. The members blinked. We're not angry. Seojun raised his hand. Really? Yoobin smiled. Then why are we here? The PR director leaned back. Because the livestream became your most watched broadcast ever. Everyone stared. Minwoo checked his phone. It's number 1 on several trending lists. Seojun grinned. That's amazing. Jiwon smiled. See, it wasn't a disaster. Mr. Han slowly raised one finger. It was still a disaster. Right. But, he sighed. The fans loved it. The PR director opened another document. The public response is surprisingly positive. She showed them several comments. PRISM feels like 5 friends WHO accidentally became idols. They don't act like celebrities and that's why I love them. Please never make them normal. Manager Han deserves a raise. Mr. Han pointed at the last comment. I agree with that one. The PR director ignored him. Your natural chemistry is becoming one of PRISM's biggest strengths. Jiwon nodded. We're just being ourselves. Exactly. She paused. Which is why the company has decided to launch a new content series. Everyone leaned forward. What kind? Seojun asked. The PR director smiled. PRISM. One Normal Day. Silence. Minwoo slowly lowered his phone. Taehyun stopped watering his plant. Yoobin's smile disappeared. Jiwon stared at the title. What's the concept? The PR director explained. Tomorrow, PRISM will spend an entire day doing ordinary activities. Seojun looked confused. Like what? Shopping. Okay. Cooking. Okay. Cleaning. Seojun's expression changed. Cleaning. Yes. Taehyun raised his hand. Can we define ordinary? No. Minwoo asked. Will cameras be following us? Of course. Jiwon immediately understood the problem. So we're supposed to act normal. Yes. While being filmed. Correct. Because we're celebrities. Correct. Jiwon stared at the others. This is impossible. Yoobin suddenly smiled. No. Everyone looked at him. Yoobin leaned forward. We can do it. Seojun's eyes widened. Really? Yoobin nodded confidently. Tomorrow, PRISM will prove that we're perfectly normal. Minwoo stared at him. That's the least convincing sentence you've ever said. The next day arrived. At 9 a.m., the cameras entered the PRISM dorm. A producer stood outside with a clipboard. Good morning. The 5 members stood in a line. Good morning. Today, we're going to follow PRISM through a completely ordinary day. Jiwon smiled. We're ready. The producer looked at him. Are you? Absolutely. Behind him, Seojun was wearing 2 different socks. Taehyun was carrying his plant. Minwoo was holding 3 cups of coffee. Yoobin was wearing sunglasses indoors. The producer paused. Let's begin. 9:30 a.m., grocery shopping. The first challenge was simple. PRISM needed to buy groceries. No special treatment. No staff assistance. Just 5 idols walking through a supermarket. The producer gave them a list. Milk, eggs, vegetables, bread, fruit, chicken, snacks. Easy, Jiwon said. They entered the supermarket. For exactly 40 seconds, everything was normal. Then someone whispered, "Isn't that PRISM?" Jiwon froze. Another person looked over. Then another. Seojun smiled awkwardly. Hello. A fan gasped. It is PRISM. Within a minute, several people had gathered around them. Fortunately, everyone remained respectful. Fans asked for photos. The members happily greeted them. One little boy approached Taehyun. Are you really PRISM? Taehyun crouched down. Yes. The boy looked at his plant. Why are you carrying that? Taehyun glanced at it. This is Mike. The boy blinked. Mike. Yes. The boy nodded seriously. Hello, Mike. Taehyun smiled. Hello. Jiwon watched the interaction. He whispered to Minwoo. Why is he introducing the plant to children? Minwoo shrugged. Mike has become famous. Meanwhile, Seojun had disappeared. Jiwon looked around. Where's Seojun? Everyone looked around. No idea. Yoobin pointed toward the snack aisle. There. Seojun was standing in front of an enormous shelf of cereal. His eyes were shining. Jiwon immediately knew what was coming. Seojun. No response. Seojun. Still nothing. Do not. Seojun slowly picked up a box. Look. It's cereal. It's my cereal. Jiwon sighed. Put it in the cart. Seojun smiled. Really? Yes. Seojun grabbed 5 boxes. Jiwon's smile disappeared. 5. 1 for every member. Yoobin nodded. That's actually thoughtful. Jiwon looked at him. Don't encourage him. 11 a.m. Cooking. The next challenge was cooking lunch. The production staff placed ingredients on the kitchen counter. Today, you will prepare a normal homemade meal. Jiwon rolled up his sleeves. I'll handle the main dish. Taehyun began washing vegetables. Minwoo prepared the rice. Yoobin started chopping ingredients. Seojun stared at the stove. What should I do? Jiwon looked at him. You can make the salad. Okay. 5 minutes later, Seojun shouted. Hung. Jiwon ran over. What happened? The salad is too salty. How much salt did you put in? Seojun thought. I don't know. Jiwon tasted it. His face changed. How much? Seojun whispered. Maybe 3 spoonfuls. 3. I like flavor. Minwoo walked over. He tasted it. He immediately put down the spoon. This is not salad. What is it? Ocean. Taehyun laughed. Yoobin was already recording the disaster on his phone. Jiwon pointed at him. Don't you dare upload that. Yoobin smiled. Of course. A pause. I'll only send it to the members. Yoobin. Yes. Delete it. No. By noon, the kitchen looked like a battlefield. There was flour on the counter. Vegetables everywhere. A suspicious amount of sauce on the floor. And Seojun had somehow managed to get rice stuck to his hair. The producer stared at the scene. This was supposed to be a normal day. Jiwon looked around. Technically, we cooked. Minwoo nodded. The food is edible. Taehyun lifted the plate. Mostly. Yoobin smiled. I think we succeeded. Mr. Han, who had been watching from the corner, looked at the camera. Please don't show this to the public. The producer smiled. We're definitely showing this. 2 p.m. Cleaning. This was the final challenge. Clean the dorm. Everyone stood in the living room. Jiwon gave instructions. Let's divide the work. Seojun, vacuum. Okay. Taehyun, organize the shelves. Sure. Minwoo, clean the kitchen. Fine. Yoobin, pick up the living room. Got it. And I'll handle the bedrooms. Everyone nodded. For 10 minutes, everything went perfectly. Then Seojun found the vacuum's highest setting. He looked at it, then looked at the others. Don't. Jiwon knew that expression. Seojun, I just want to try. No. It's just one button. Absolutely not. Seojun pressed it. The vacuum roared. He screamed. The vacuum dragged him forward. Help. Yubin fell onto the sofa laughing. Taehyun covered his mouth. Minwoo calmly stepped aside. Jiwon chased after Seojun. Turn it off. I can't. There's a button. Which one? The red one. There are 3 red ones. The camera crew was crying with laughter. 2 hours later, the dorm was finally clean. The 5 members stood proudly in the living room. The producer looked around. It took you 2 hours. Jiwon nodded. But we did it. The producer smiled. Congratulations. Seojun raised both arms. We're normal. Everyone cheered. Yubin smiled. We proved it. Minwoo looked at the camera. No, we didn't. Taehyun nodded. I agree. Jiwon sighed. But at least the dorm is clean. Then they heard a strange sound. Drip, drip, drip. Everyone turned toward the kitchen. Water was leaking from somewhere. Jiwon closed his eyes. Please don't. Seojun pointed. The sink. Everyone stared. The newly cleaned kitchen was slowly flooding. Yubin covered his mouth. Minwoo took out his phone. Taehyun calmly picked up Gerald. Jiwon stood frozen. The producer whispered. Cut. The camera operator shook his head. No way. Jiwon looked at the camera. We're terrible at this. Seojun laughed. Yubin laughed. Taehyun laughed. Minwoo laughed. Soon, even Jiwon was laughing. The challenge had been a complete failure. But somehow, it was their best content yet. And by the end of the day, one thing had become obvious. PRISM didn't know how to have a normal day. They only knew how to have a memorable one. Chapter 5, The Day Off That Wasn't. PRISM finally had a day off. No rehearsals. No recording. No interviews. No live streams. No variety shows. No cameras. No schedules. At least, that was what their manager promised. Tomorrow, Mr. Han announced, you are completely free. The 5 members stared at him. Seojun raised his hand. Completely. Completely. Nothing. Nothing. Nobody's filming us. No. Nobody needs us. No. Seojun slowly turned toward the others. We're free. Yubin smiled. We're free. Taehyun hugged his pillow. Wonderful. Minwoo closed his laptop. I'll sleep. Jiwon smiled. Finally. Mr. Han pointed at them. One rule. Everyone looked at him. Don't create a problem. Jiwon nodded immediately. We won't. Mr. Han narrowed his eyes. I mean it. We understand. Good. He left. The 5 members watched the door close. Silence. Then Seojun whispered. What should we do tomorrow? Jiwon sighed. It's a day off. Yes. So do nothing. Seojun looked horrified. Nothing. Yes. That's boring. Jiwon stared at him. That's the entire point of a day off. The next morning, at 9:12 a.m., Seojun burst into the living room. Wake up. Jiwon threw a pillow at him. Why? It's our day off. I know. We need to do something. Jiwon sat up. No. Seojun looked disappointed. Why? Because I'm sleeping. But we're wasting the day. That's what days off are for. Seojun thought about it. I don't think that's true. Jiwon pulled the blanket over his head. Go away. Seojun left. 30 seconds later, Yubin entered. Hung. No. I haven't said anything. I know you. Yubin smiled. We should go somewhere. No. Just for a little while. No. Please. No. Hung. Jiwon sat up. What? Yubin held up 2 tickets. I got these. Jiwon stared at them. What are they? Tickets to the aquarium. Jiwon's expression softened. Then he remembered. No. Why? Because we have a day off. Exactly. We're supposed to rest. We can rest at the aquarium. Jiwon stared at him. That's not how resting works. Yubin smiled. Come on. From the hallway, Seojun shouted. Jiwon. I'm ready. Jiwon looked toward the door. Ready for what? The aquarium. Jiwon slowly turned toward Yubin. You planned this. Yubin smiled. Maybe. 30 minutes later, all 5 members were dressed. Jiwon stood at the door. This is a terrible idea. Seojun was wearing sunglasses. Why? We're going outside. Taehyun adjusted his cap. We're celebrities. Minwoo put on a mask. Which means someone will recognize us. Yubin smiled. Then we disguise ourselves. Jiwon looked at their disguises. Caps, masks, sunglasses, hoodies. He stared at them. We look more suspicious. Seojun nodded. We look like 5 criminals. Exactly. Cool. That's not a compliment. The aquarium. For the first 10 minutes, everything went perfectly. Nobody recognized them. They walked through the entrance. They bought drinks. They looked at the fish. They even managed to stand in front of the giant aquarium without anyone noticing. Jiwon smiled. This is actually nice. Taehyun nodded. The jellyfish are beautiful. Minwoo took a photo. Seojun pressed his face against the glass. Look, a giant shark swam past. That thing is huge. Yubin laughed. You're louder than the children. I'm excited. Please lower your voice. Sorry. 3 seconds later. Look at that one. Jiwon sighed. Then he noticed something. Wait. Everyone turned. What? Jiwon pointed toward the glass. A tiny fish was swimming strangely. Taehyun leaned closer. It's following Seojun. Seojun gasped. It likes me. Minwoo nodded. Finally, someone does. Hey. Yubin laughed. For a moment, they were just 5 friends enjoying a day together. No cameras. No schedules. No stage. No expectations. Just them. Then a little girl nearby pointed at Seojun. Mommy. Her mother looked over. The girl whispered loudly. Isn't that PRISM? Everyone froze. Seojun slowly lowered his sunglasses. The mother looked at them. Then at the other 4. Then back at Seojun. Oh. Jiwon whispered. Run. They didn't run. They couldn't. The mother approached them carefully. Excuse me. Jiwon smiled politely. Yes. My daughter thinks you're PRISM. Seojun crouched down. Hello. The little girl's eyes widened. It's really you. Soon, several people noticed. Few fans approached. Then more. The members were surrounded, but everyone remained respectful. Some asked for photos. Some asked for autographs. Some simply wanted to say hello. Jiwon smiled. Thank you for recognizing us. A fan looked surprised. I thought you were resting. We are. She glanced around. At an aquarium. Jiwon nodded. Yes. Another fan laughed. That's adorable. Seojun suddenly pointed toward the aquarium. Do you want to see the sharks? The fan blinked. Sure. Seojun immediately started explaining shark facts. He knew far too many. Taehyun joined the conversation. Minwoo corrected Seojun's facts. Yubin started taking pictures. Jiwon stood there watching them. He smiled. This wasn't so bad. Until a child asked Taehyun. Where's Gerald? Taehyun blinked. Gerald. The refrigerator. Taehyun smiled. Gerald is at home. The child nodded seriously. Tell Gerald I said hi. I will. Jiwon looked away so nobody would see him laughing. After the aquarium, the members decided to have lunch. They found a small restaurant nearby. They sat in a corner. Nobody bothered them. It was peaceful. Until Seojun noticed something on the menu. Let's order everything. Jiwon immediately shook his head. No. Why? We can't eat everything. Why not? Because there are 5 of us. Exactly. Minwoo looked at the menu. He's suggesting we order enough food for 20 people. Taehyun nodded. That's excessive. Yubin looked at Seojun. Do it. Seojun's eyes lit up. Thank you. Jiwon slammed his hand on the table. No. The waiter approached. Are you ready to order? Jiwon smiled politely. Yes. Seojun leaned forward. We'll have 5 portions of everything. Jiwon covered his mouth. Sorry. The waiter laughed. You can take your time. By the time they left the restaurant, they were full. Very full. Seojun leaned against Jiwon. I can't walk. You ordered half the menu. It was worth it. Jiwon pushed him away. Walk. Carry me. No. Leader privilege. That doesn't exist. Yubin laughed. Taehyun quietly took a photo. Minwoo noticed. Why are you taking pictures? For memories. Jiwon smiled. Send that to me. Taehyun nodded. Then added. And one to the group chat. Okay. Yubin immediately leaned over. Can I see? No. Why? Taehyun smiled. Because you're going to use it as blackmail. Yubin looked offended. I would never. Everyone stared at him. Yubin smiled. Probably. They returned to the dorm in the afternoon. Everyone was exhausted. Seojun immediately collapsed onto the sofa. I'm never leaving this house again. Jiwon laughed. You said the opposite this morning. I've changed. Taehyun walked into the kitchen. He opened the refrigerator. Hello, Gerald. Jiwon stared at him. You actually talked to it. Taehyun looked back. Of course. Minwoo shook his head. I still can't believe this. Yubin opened the refrigerator. Gerald, we're home. Seojun walked over. Does Gerald have anything to eat? Taehyun frowned. Don't treat him like a vending machine. Seojun stared. He's a refrigerator. He's still Gerald. Jiwon burst out laughing. For the first time that day, all 5 members laughed together. Their day off had been anything but peaceful. But it had been fun. And perhaps that was what they needed. Not a perfectly quiet day. Not an empty schedule. Just a day where they could forget about being idols for a few hours. A day where they could simply be 5 friends walking around, eating too much, teasing each other, and laughing at things nobody else understood. Jiwon looked around the dorm. That was a good day. Seojun nodded. Yeah. Yubin smiled. We should do it again. Minwoo immediately shook his head. No. Taehyun nodded. I agree. Jiwon laughed. Maybe next month. Seojun sat up. Tomorrow. No. Next week. No. Weekend. Absolutely not. Seojun frowned. Why is everyone against fun? Jiwon smiled. Because we know you. The room erupted in laughter again. Outside, their phones began buzzing. A fan had posted a photo from the aquarium. Then another. Then another. Within minutes, PRISM's day off at the aquarium was trending. Jiwon stared at his phone. So much for nobody filming us. Minwoo looked at the trending page. At least the photos are good. Yubin grinned. We're famous. Seojun pointed at the screen. Look. Someone called us normal. Jiwon read the comment. PRISM looks like 5 normal friends having a nice day. He smiled. Then another comment appeared. Wait. Why is Taehyun talking about his refrigerator again? Jiwon sighed. Never mind. PRISM would never be normal. And honestly, they had stopped trying. Chapter 6, The Comeback Countdown. 3 days after their disastrous day off, PRISM's dormitory was unusually quiet. Too quiet. Jiwon sat at the dining table with a cup of coffee, staring at the schedule on his tablet. Come back in 12 days. Seojun was lying upside down on the sofa. 12 days. Yes. That's plenty of time. Jiwon looked at him. We still have to finish recording, learn the choreography, film the music video, shoot promotional content, prepare for music shows, rehearse the live stages, and do interviews. Seojun slowly sat up. That's less time than I thought. Minwoo didn't look up from his laptop. That's because you spent yesterday watching videos of dogs falling off couches. They were educational. They were 8 hours long. I learned a lot. Taehyun walked into the room carrying a cup of coffee. What did you learn? Seojun proudly answered. Don't trust stairs. Taehyun nodded seriously. Important. Jiwon stared at both of them. Please tell me you're joking. Neither answered. At the agency, the atmosphere was completely different. The staff were moving everywhere. Stylists carried clothing racks down the hallway. Choreographers hurried between studios. Producers discussed arrangements. Managers checked schedules. PRISM's comeback was one of the company's biggest projects of the season. Their last album had performed well. Their variety appearances had made them even more popular. And now everyone wanted to see what PRISM would do next. Their producer entered the meeting room. Good morning. The 5 members bowed. Good morning. He placed a folder on the table. Your title track is finalized. The members leaned forward. Jiwon asked, what is it called? The producer smiled. Flashpoint. Seojun's eyes widened. That's cool. Minwoo nodded. The title fits the concept. Taehyun opened the concept photos. The mood was completely different from their usual cheerful image. Dark stage lights. Sharp suits. Silver accessories. Intense expressions. A powerful choreography concept. Yubin looked at the photos. So we're supposed to look dangerous. The producer nodded. Exactly. Seojun smiled. I can do dangerous. Jiwon glanced at him. You once got scared by a balloon. It moved unexpectedly. It was a balloon. A dangerous balloon. Minwoo sighed. The first rehearsal. The choreography studio was enormous. A wall of mirrors covered one side. Music speakers filled the room. The choreographer stood in front of them. Today, we're focusing on the chorus. The music started. PRISM moved. For the first few seconds, they were flawless. 5 bodies moving together. Sharp. Precise. Powerful. The playful chaos from their dorm disappeared. This was PRISM on stage. Seojun's movements were explosive. Taehyun's were elegant and controlled. Minwoo's were restrained but powerful. Yoobin moved with incredible precision. And Jiwon held the center with calm confidence. The song ended. Silence. Then the choreographer nodded. Good. The members smiled. Again. The music started. Again. And again. And again. After the 7th run, Seojun collapsed onto the floor. I'm dying. Jiwon was breathing heavily. Get up. I can't. You have to. My legs have resigned. Minwoo sat down beside him. Mine submitted their resignation yesterday. Taehyun drank water. Mine are considering legal action. Yoobin laughed. The choreographer stared at them. You still have the bridge. Everyone froze. Seojun looked horrified. There's more. After 3 hours, they finally finished. The choreographer clapped. Excellent work today. The 5 members bowed. Thank you. They were exhausted, but proud. As they left the studio, Jiwon noticed Yoobin wasn't following them. Yoobin. The maknae was standing in front of the mirror. Still practicing. Jiwon walked over. You okay? Yoobin nodded. I'm fine. Then why are you still practicing? Yoobin looked at his reflection. I keep missing the turn. Jiwon watched him repeat the movement. Once, twice, 3 times. On the 4th attempt, he got it. Yoobin smiled. There. Jiwon smiled too. Perfect. Yoobin turned toward him. Hung. Yeah. Do you think we'll do well this comeback? Jiwon didn't hesitate. Yes. Yoobin smiled. Even though we're disasters. Jiwon laughed. Especially because we're disasters. Recording day. The next morning began at the recording studio. Minwoo was in his element. He sat behind the console, listening carefully as the members recorded their parts. Again, he said. Seojun looked through the glass. Was it bad? No. Then why again? Because it can be better. Seojun sighed. Producer Minwoo has awakened. Jiwon laughed. Taehyun entered the booth next. He sang his line. Minwoo listened. Good. Taehyun smiled. Just good. Very good. That's better. Yoobin came next. His first take was clean. His second was even better. Minwoo nodded. Perfect. Yoobin grinned. I get a compliment. Don't get used to it. Then it was Jiwon's turn. He stepped into the booth. The music began. His voice filled the studio. Everyone went quiet. When he finished, the producer smiled. That's the one. Jiwon removed his headphones. Really? Really? Minwoo nodded. Keep that take. Jiwon smiled. For a moment, the 5 members weren't joking. They weren't fighting. They weren't causing trouble. They were simply 5 people who had spent years chasing the same dream. And they were getting closer. The concept photos. That afternoon, PRISM's image transformation began. Stylists worked on their hair. Makeup artists adjusted every detail. Designers brought in the stage outfits. The concept was sleek and dramatic. When Jiwon stepped onto the set, the photographer smiled. Perfect. Jiwon gave a confident expression. The camera flashed. Click, click, click. Great. Next. Seojun walked into position. The photographer looked at him. Give me something intense. Seojun narrowed his eyes. The photographer raised his camera. Good. Flash. Again. Seojun changed his pose. Flash. Excellent. Seojun walked away proudly. See. Jiwon smiled. You can look serious. I always look serious. No. Seojun frowned. Yes. No. I do. No. Hung. Next. Taehyun stepped onto the set. The atmosphere immediately changed. He leaned casually against a wall, one hand in his pocket. His expression was calm, elegant, almost intimidating. The photographer stared through the camera. Perfect. Flash. Taehyun changed his posture. Flash. Another angle. Flash. The staff quietly whispered among themselves. He's ridiculously photogenic. Minwoo watched from the side. He knows. Taehyun glanced over. Of course. Seojun groaned. He's impossible. Minwoo's shoot was simpler. He sat on a stool with headphones around his neck. His expression was cold and focused. The photographer smiled. Excellent. Flash. Minwoo looked toward the camera. Flash. Give me a little more attitude. Minwoo raised one eyebrow. Flash. The photographer lowered the camera. That's it. Seojun whispered. How does he look cool while doing nothing? Minwoo answered without looking at him. Talent. Then Yoobin stepped forward. The photographer smiled. You're the youngest, right? Yes. Give me something playful. Yubin smiled. The camera flashed. Then he suddenly changed his expression. Cold, sharp, confident. Flash. The photographer blinked. Wow. Yubin smiled again. Was that okay? More than okay. Jiwon watched from the side. That's the face you use when you're planning something. Yubin's smile widened. What makes you think I'm planning something? Because I know you. Finally, Jiwon returned to the set for the group photos. The 5 members took their positions. This time, there was no chaos. No jokes. No fighting. They looked like the stars everyone expected them to be. The camera flashed. The photographer smiled. Beautiful. Another flash. Powerful. Another. Perfect. Then Seojun whispered, I need to sneeze. Jiwon's eyes widened. Don't. I can't stop it. Seojun. Sorry. He sneezed. Everyone broke character. Taehyun laughed. Minwoo covered his face. Yubin nearly fell over. Jiwon sighed. The photographer burst out laughing. That was perfect. Jiwon stared. You like that? Absolutely. The photographer looked at the monitor. The candid shot had captured all 5 members laughing together. It wasn't polished. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't the concept they had planned. But it looked natural. It looked like them. Keep that one, the photographer said. Jiwon smiled. Okay. That evening, the company released the first teaser image for Flashpoint. The internet exploded. PRISM's new concept. They look so different. Taehyun. Minwoo looks insane. Yubin's eyes. Jiwon's center is everything. Seojun finally looks serious. For several minutes, the members stared at the reactions. Seojun grinned. We look cool. Minwoo nodded. We do. Taehyun smiled. Yubin looked at the teaser. Then quietly said, we really grew up. The others looked at him. For once, nobody made a joke. Jiwon smiled. Yeah. 5 trainees had once dreamed about standing on a stage. Now millions of people were waiting for their next song. Seojun suddenly broke the silence. So, everyone looked at him. Can we celebrate? Jiwon smiled. Sure. Seojun jumped up. Pizza. Fine. Chicken. Fine. Both. Jiwon sighed. Fine. Yubin raised his hand. Can we order enough for 10 people? No. 5. We are 5 people. Exactly. Minwoo shook his head. We're never going to be normal. Taehyun smiled. Why would we want to be? The 5 members laughed. Their comeback was coming. And this time, PRISM wasn't just returning to the stage. They were ready to show everyone exactly who they were. 5 members. 1 dream. And absolutely no chance of behaving normally. Chapter 7, The Music Video Shoot. At 5:30 in the morning, PRISM arrived at the music video set. Nobody was awake, except the staff. And Jiwon. He stood outside the studio holding 5 cups of coffee. Wake up. Seojun was half asleep. Hung. Get out of the van. I can't. You have to. My body has rejected the concept. Jiwon sighed and handed him a coffee. Seojun immediately opened his eyes. Coffee. Yes. I love you. Get out. One by one, the members climbed out. Taehyun stretched. Minwoo checked the shooting schedule. Yubin looked around at the enormous set. Wow. The production crew had transformed an empty warehouse into a futuristic city. Huge metal structures, neon lights, fog machines, LED walls, a massive staircase, and a stage surrounded by hundreds of lights. Seojun stared. This is our music video. The director smiled. Welcome to Flashpoint. 7 a.m., opening scene. The first scene was Jiwon's solo shot. He stood alone in the middle of the dark set. The lights slowly came on behind him. The director raised his hand. Ready. Jiwon nodded. Ready. Action. The music began. Jiwon walked forward. His expression was cold and confident. No smile. No joking. No trace of the exhausted leader from the dorm. He stopped beneath the main light. The camera moved closer. Cut. The director smiled. Perfect. Jiwon relaxed. Seojun applauded from behind the camera. Hung looks terrifying. Jiwon laughed. I'm supposed to. Can you teach me that face? No. Why? You look like you're constipated. The entire crew burst out laughing. Seojun looked offended. That was unnecessary. 9 a.m., Seojun's scene. Seojun's scene required him to run through the set before jumping onto a platform. The director explained the movement. Run here, turn, jump, land, then look directly into the camera. Seojun nodded. Got it. The camera rolled. Seojun ran, turned, jumped, landed perfectly. He looked directly into the camera. The director smiled. Excellent. Seojun grinned. Did you see that? Jiwon nodded. Yes. I looked cool, right? Very. Seojun smiled proudly. Then he noticed something on the floor. A tiny piece of confetti. He pointed at it. What's that? Jiwon immediately said. Don't touch it. Seojun crouched down. It's pretty. Seojun. I just want to. Don't. Seojun picked it up. A nearby staff member screamed. That's a special effect. Seojun froze. Oh. The director covered his face. Jiwon sighed. How did you survive this long? 11 a.m., Taehyun's scene. Taehyun's scene was completely different. He stood inside a massive futuristic room filled with mirrors. The lights reflected around him. The director wanted him to appear mysterious. Don't move too much. Taehyun nodded. Understood. The music started. He slowly turned toward the camera. His expression was calm, elegant, untouchable. The camera moved around him. The shot looked incredible. Cut. The director smiled. Beautiful. Taehyun stepped away. Then he noticed something. The set had a refrigerator. He stared at it. Jiwon noticed. No. Taehyun looked at him. I didn't say anything. You were thinking it. I was wondering if it has a name. Don't name the prop. Taehyun looked disappointed. The staff nearby laughed. One of them asked, Who's Gerald? Taehyun answered immediately. My refrigerator. The staff member laughed. Of course. Taehyun nodded proudly. 1 p.m., Minwoo's scene. Minwoo's scene was shot inside a recording studio set. Headphones around his neck. A microphone in front of him. Screens glowing behind him. The director wanted him to look like the mastermind behind the entire concept. Minwoo sat down. The camera rolled. He slowly pressed a button. The music began. He looked toward the camera. Perfect. The director whispered. That's it. Minwoo finished the scene. Cut. Everyone applauded. Seojun walked over. That looked really cool. Minwoo nodded. I know. Seojun stared at him. You could at least pretend to be humble. No. 3 p.m., Yoobin's scene. Yoobin's scene required him to stand on a high platform while the lights flashed around him. He was supposed to look confident and dangerous. The director explained. Don't smile. Yoobin nodded. Okay. The camera rolled. Yoobin stared into the lens. His expression became cold, sharp, serious. The lights flashed. He slowly turned. Perfect. Cut. The director smiled. Excellent. Yoobin relaxed. Then he immediately smiled at the camera. The staff laughed. The director shook his head. How do you switch expressions that quickly? Yoobin smiled. Practice. Jiwon watched him. You've been practicing that. Yes. Why? Yoobin shrugged. For fun. Jiwon sighed. Of course. 6 p.m., group performance. After 12 hours of filming, they finally reached the most important scene. The group choreography. The set was enormous. Hundreds of lights surrounded the stage. Fog covered the floor. The LED screens behind them displayed the Flashpoint logo. The 5 members stood in formation. The director walked toward them. This is the final shot. Everyone nodded. You've worked all day. Another nod. But this is the one that matters. Jiwon looked at his members. Seojun rolled his shoulders. Taehyun adjusted his jacket. Minwoo put on his in-ear monitors. Yoobin took a deep breath. Jiwon smiled. Let's do it. The music began. 5 members moved as one. Sharp choreography. Powerful formations. Fast transitions. The camera moved around them. Lights flashed. Fog rolled across the floor. The chorus exploded. Seojun moved with explosive energy. Taehyun's movements were elegant and precise. Minwoo's expressions were controlled and intense. Yoobin hit every move perfectly. And Jiwon held the center. For those few minutes, they weren't 5 chaotic idiots from a dorm. They were PRISM, idols who had spent years training for this moment. The final beat hit. They froze. Silence. Then, cut. Nobody moved. The director stared at the monitor. The entire crew was silent. Then he smiled. That's the one. The 5 members finally relaxed. Seojun dropped to the floor. I'm alive. Yoobin laughed. Taehyun sat down. Minwoo removed his headphones. Jiwon bent over, catching his breath. The crew applauded. The director walked toward them. You know what I like about you. The members looked up. You don't look like you're trying to become someone else. He gestured toward the monitor. You look like 5 people who genuinely enjoyed performing together. Jiwon smiled. We do. The director nodded. That's what makes PRISM work. Seojun looked at the others. Even when we're disasters. Especially then. Everyone laughed. The filming finally ended at 11:47 p.m. The members sat together in the van. Nobody spoke for several minutes. They were completely exhausted. Seojun was asleep against the window. Taehyun was looking through the behind-the-scenes photos. Minwoo was checking the final footage. Yubin was eating snacks. Jiwon looked around. You guys did well. Minwoo nodded. So did you. Taehyun smiled. Everyone did. Yubin held up a snack. Celebration. Jiwon smiled. Sure. Seojun woke up immediately. Celebration. Everyone laughed. How did you hear that? Seojun rubbed his eyes. I heard food. Jiwon shook his head. Of course you did. The next morning, the company posted a short teaser. Just 5 seconds. 5 silhouettes. A flash of light. The Flashpoint logo. Then PRISM's voices. Ready. The screen went black. The internet exploded. PRISM comeback is coming. Flashpoint teaser. The concept looks insane. What are they preparing? The members watched the reactions from the dorm. Seojun grinned. We're going to destroy the charts. Minwoo looked at him. That's ambitious. We're PRISM. Taehyun nodded. He's right. Yubin smiled. Jiwon looked at the countdown. D-8. 8 days. 8 more days until they stood on stage again. 8 more days until the world saw Flashpoint. Jiwon smiled. Let's make it worth the wait. The other 4 nodded. Then Seojun raised his hand. Can we celebrate with chicken? Jiwon stared at him. Fine. PRISM's comeback countdown continued. And somehow, despite 12 hours of filming, exhaustion, and countless mistakes, they were right on schedule. For once. Chapter 8, the teaser that broke the internet. 8 days before PRISM's comeback, the members arrived at the company expecting another ordinary day of promotions. They were wrong. Very wrong. Jiwon walked into the practice room carrying a coffee. Good morning. Seojun was already there, stretching. Morning. Taehyun sat on the floor, scrolling through his phone. Minwoo was wearing headphones. Yubin was staring suspiciously at the television mounted on the wall. Jiwon stopped. Why are you looking at the television like that? Yubin pointed. It's showing the teaser schedule. Jiwon looked up. The company's official countdown was displayed. PRISM, Flashpoint. D-8. Below it was a message. MV Teaser 1, tonight, 8 p.m. Seojun's eyes widened. Tonight. Minwoo nodded. The first teaser. Taehyun looked up from his phone. That means everyone is going to see the concept. Jiwon smiled. That's the idea. Seojun suddenly looked nervous. Wait. Everyone looked at him. What if people don't like it? The room became quiet. It was the first time Seojun had said something serious that morning. Jiwon walked over. They will. You don't know that. No. Jiwon smiled. But I know we worked hard. Minwoo nodded. We did. Taehyun smiled. And the song is good. Yubin added. And we look good. Seojun stared at him. You couldn't wait 5 seconds to say that. Yubin grinned. No. Everyone laughed. The tension disappeared. 10 a.m., the final choreography check. The choreographer walked into the studio. One more full run. Seojun immediately groaned. Again. We've done this 100 times. And you'll do it again. Jiwon stood up. Let's go. The music started. PRISM moved. The choreography for Flashpoint was much harder than their previous title tracks. Fast footwork. Sudden formation changes. Sharp hand movements. A difficult dance break. The final chorus required all 5 members to move almost simultaneously. They finished. The choreographer smiled. Much better. Seojun collapsed. Can we celebrate? No. Why? Because you missed the final step. Seojun immediately sat back up. I did. Yes. Minwoo nodded. You landed half a beat late. Seojun stared at him. You noticed. I'm the producer. That's terrifying. Jiwon laughed. Again. Seojun groaned. They practiced until noon. By then, everyone's shirt was soaked with sweat. Jiwon looked at the clock. We have 20 minutes. Until lunch. Seojun asked. No. Then I don't care. Jiwon sighed. Until the teaser meeting. Seojun immediately became interested. Oh. Yubin smiled. Are we going to watch it? Yes. Taehyun stood. Then let's go. Minwoo removed his headphones. Finally. 1 p.m., the teaser meeting. The 5 members sat inside a small screening room. Their manager sat behind them. The director entered with a laptop. Ready. Nobody answered. They were all staring at the screen. The director pressed play. The room went dark. A single sound played. A heartbeat. Boom. Another. Boom. The screen showed an empty city street. Rain. Neon lights. A figure walking through the darkness. Then, a flash. Jiwon's face appeared. His eyes looked directly into the camera. The music began. A single beat. Flash. Seojun appeared on screen. A sharp dance movement. Flash. Taehyun turned toward the camera. Flash. Minwoo sat inside the recording studio. Flash. Yubin smiled. Then the music suddenly stopped. The screen went black. A voice whispered, "Ready." The PRISM logo appeared. Flashpoint. The teaser ended. Silence. Nobody moved. Then Seojun whispered, "Wow." Taehyun smiled. "That looks incredible." Minwoo nodded. "The editing is really good." Yubin looked at Jiwon. Hung. Jiwon was still staring at the black screen. "Yeah, we look cool." Jiwon finally laughed. "We do, Mr. Han looked at them. "You've been waiting months for this." The members exchanged glances. Jiwon nodded. "Yeah." 7:59 p.m. PRISM's official account prepared the teaser release. The members were back at the dorm. For once, nobody was fighting. Nobody was eating. Nobody was talking. All 5 were sitting around the television. The countdown began. 10. Seojun leaned forward. 9. Yubin grabbed a pillow. 8. Taehyun adjusted his hair. 7. Minwoo opened the official social media page. 6. Jiwon smiled. 5. The comments started flooding in. PRISM comeback. Flashpoint is coming. I'm not ready. 4. Seojun grabbed Jiwon's arm. 3. Hung. Yeah, I'm nervous. 2. Jiwon smiled. Me too. 1. The teaser went live. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the internet exploded. The view count began climbing. 10,000. 50,000. 100,000. 300,000. Seojun's mouth dropped open. It's moving that fast. Minwoo refreshed the page. Yes. Another refresh. Very fast. Yubin looked at the comments. Look. He turned the phone around. WHO are these 5 men. PRISM just changed their entire image. The concept. Taehyun. Minwoo with the headphones. Yubin's smile at the end. Jiwon looks insane. Seojun's dance move. Seojun jumped off the couch. They like it. Jiwon laughed. Sit down. I can't. Then another notification appeared. Minwoo's expression changed. Everyone looked at him. What? He showed them his phone. A trending list had appeared. Hashtag PRISM Flashpoint. Hashtag Flashpoint. Hashtag PRISM Comeback. Hashtag PRISM Teaser. Seojun screamed. We're trending. Yubin jumped onto the sofa. Again. Taehyun calmly smiled. That's good. Jiwon looked at the numbers. He couldn't stop smiling. They had worked for months. Practiced until their bodies hurt. Recorded the song over and over. Filmed for 12 hours. Stayed late in the studio. And now people were finally seeing the result. Then, beast. Jiwon's phone vibrated. He checked it. A message from their company. Congratulations. Flashpoint teaser has reached 1 million views. Everyone froze. Already. Seojun whispered. Minwoo checked the time. 7 minutes. Nobody spoke. Then Yubin screamed. 1 million. Seojun jumped onto the sofa. Taehyun actually raised both arms. Minwoo laughed. Even Jiwon shouted. The dorm erupted. 10 minutes later, Mr. Han called. Jiwon answered. Hello. Where are you? At the dorm. Good. Why? Because the company is celebrating. Seojun shouted from the background. We hit 1 million. Mr. Han sighed. I know. Is there food? Of course that's your first question. Important question. Mr. Han laughed. Food is on the way. Seojun cheered. Jiwon smiled. Thank you, Mr. Han paused. You all did well. The room became quiet. Really, he continued. You've worked hard. Jiwon looked at the other 4. Thank you. After the call ended, nobody spoke for a moment. Then Taehyun quietly said, we should remember this. Minwoo nodded. Definitely. Yubin smiled. Seojun raised his cup. To PRISM. Jiwon lifted his own. To Prism. They tapped their cups together. Clink. 5 smiles. 5 tired faces. 5 friends who had spent years chasing one dream. Then Seojun suddenly pointed at the television. Wait. Everyone looked. The teaser was playing again. Seojun stared at his own dance shot. I look really good. Minwoo nodded. Here we go. Yubin laughed. Taehyun shook his head. Jiwon smiled. Their quiet moment lasted exactly 30 seconds. Which, for Prism, was actually impressive. The next morning, the teaser had crossed 5 million views. And the biggest surprise wasn't the number. It was the message waiting for them at the company. Their agency had received an invitation. A major year-end music festival. Wanted Prism to headline the opening stage. Jiwon read the message twice. Guys. The others looked over. What? Jiwon smiled. We just got our biggest stage yet. Seojun's eyes widened. Taehyun smiled. Minwoo slowly removed his headphones. Yubin grinned. The comeback wasn't even here yet. And already, Prism was reaching a level they had only dreamed about. But none of them knew that the biggest challenge of the comeback wasn't the choreography. It wasn't the music video. It wasn't the live stages. It wasn't even the pressure of becoming more famous. It was something much more terrifying. Their manager had just announced. Tomorrow, you're filming a comeback reality show. The 5 members stared at him. Seojun whispered, reality show, Mr. Han nodded. Yes. Jiwon slowly closed his eyes. We're doomed. Chapter 9, the reality show nobody asked for. The morning after Prism's teaser surpassed 5 million views, the 5 members arrived at the agency expecting another day of comeback preparations. Instead, their manager was waiting outside the practice room. He had a camera crew behind him. Jiwon stopped walking. No, Mr. Han smiled. Good morning. No, you haven't even heard what I'm going to say. I don't need to. Seojun peeked around Jiwon. Are those cameras? Yes. Yubin immediately looked excited. What are we filming, Mr. Han handed them a schedule. Prism. Offstage. A 24-hour reality special following the members during comeback preparations. Seojun's eyes sparkled. This sounds fun. Jiwon looked horrified. It sounds dangerous. Minwoo read the schedule. Practice, lunch, recording, dorm life, games. He paused. Dorm life. Mr. Han nodded. They'll be filming at the dorm tonight. Jiwon slowly turned toward the others. Everyone clean. Seojun looked confused. Why? Because cameras are coming. Taehyun calmly said. The dorm is already clean. Everyone looked at him. Then at the floor. There were clothes everywhere. A sock was hanging from a lamp. A snack wrapper was underneath the sofa. Jiwon stared. That's your definition of clean. Taehyun shrugged. Gerald has seen worse. Jiwon closed his eyes. Don't bring Gerald into this. 10 a.m., the introduction. The cameras began rolling. A producer stood in front of the members. Welcome to Prism. Offstage. The 5 members stood together. Hello. We're Prism. The producer smiled. Today, fans will get to see what Prism is really like when they're not on stage. Jiwon smiled professionally. We're excited. Seojun nodded. Very excited. Taehyun smiled. Of course. Minwoo nodded. Yubin smiled innocently. The producer looked at them. Are you nervous? All 5 answered at once. No. The producer laughed. Why? Jiwon answered immediately. Because we're normal. The entire camera crew went silent. Seojun slowly turned toward him. Are we? Jiwon whispered. Don't ruin this. 11 a.m., practice. The cameras followed Prism into the rehearsal studio. The choreographer started the music. The 5 members immediately switched into professional mode. Their movements were sharp and synchronized. The camera crew watched through the monitor. Wow. Even the producer looked impressed. Then the music stopped. Seojun dropped to the floor. I'm dead. The choreographer sighed. Again. Seojun looked betrayed. Why? Because you missed the turn. I was tired. So was everyone else. Minwoo pointed at Seojun. He also nearly hit me. I did not. You almost kicked me. That was choreography. It wasn't. It felt like choreography. Yubin laughed. Taehyun quietly moved away from them. The producer smiled. This is what you call normal. Jiwon sighed. This is actually one of our camera rehearsals. The producer stared at him. Oh. 1 p.m., lunch. Challenge. For lunch, the production team prepared a challenge. Each member received a mystery box containing ingredients. They had to prepare lunch for another member. The producer explained, "Your goal is to make something your assigned member will love." The assignments appeared on the screen. Jiwon right pointing arrow Seojun. Seojun right pointing arrow Taehyun. Taehyun right pointing arrow Minwoo. Minwoo right pointing arrow Yubin. Yubin right pointing arrow Jiwon. Seojun smiled. Easy. Jiwon looked worried. What are you making? You'll see. That's not reassuring. Jiwon and Seojun. Jiwon prepared a simple chicken rice bowl. Everything was carefully measured. He tasted the sauce. Perfect. Seojun watched. Hung. What? You're too serious. I'm cooking. You look like you're defusing a bomb. Jiwon ignored him. When the meal was finished, Seojun took a bite. His eyes widened. This is good. Jiwon smiled. Really? Really? Seojun took another bite. Then another. Then another. Jiwon laughed. You like it that much? Seojun nodded. I'm taking the leftovers. Those are mine. They're mine now. Why? Because you made them for me. Jiwon sighed. Fine. Seojun and Taehyun. Seojun had a completely different approach. He decided to make Taehyun a sandwich. It looked fine, until he added an unreasonable amount of sauce. Taehyun stared at it. What is this? A sandwich. Why is it dripping? Flavor. Minwoo laughed. Taehyun cautiously took a bite. He chewed. Everyone waited. He paused. Not bad. Seojun jumped. Yes. Taehyun continued eating. Then he suddenly looked at Seojun. You put sugar in the sauce. Seojun froze. Maybe. Why? I like sweet things. Taehyun nodded. That explains your personality. The room erupted in laughter. Taehyun and Minwoo. Taehyun prepared coffee. Minwoo stared at the cup. That's it. Yes. That's your lunch. No. This is your coffee. Minwoo took a sip. His eyes widened. This is really good. Taehyun smiled. I know. You made this yourself. Yes. Then why do you keep buying expensive coffee? Taehyun looked at him. Because Gerald doesn't make coffee. Minwoo stared. What does your refrigerator have to do with coffee? Everything. Minwoo and Yubin. Minwoo made Yubin pasta. Yubin took one bite. His expression immediately changed. This is amazing. Minwoo nodded. I know. Yubin stared at him. Why does everyone keep saying that? Because it's true. Yubin smiled. I'm stealing your recipe. Don't. Too late. Yubin and Jiwon. Yubin placed his dish in front of Jiwon. Jiwon looked suspicious. What did you make? Something special. Jiwon took a bite. He stopped. Everyone watched. What? Jiwon smiled. This is really good. Yubin grinned. Really? Really? The producer smiled. Yubin seems to know Jiwon's taste very well. Yubin nodded. Of course. Jiwon looked at him. How? Yubin shrugged. I've known you for years. For a moment, the teasing stopped. The cameras caught the quiet smile between them. Then Seojun ruined it. Can I have some? No. Why? Because it's mine. But you're full. Still mine. 4 p.m., the question game. The producers decided to ask the members questions submitted by fans. The first question appeared. Who is the most childish member? 4 hands immediately pointed at Seojun. Seojun stared. Again. Yubin laughed. You started a fight over cereal. That was important. Another question appeared. Who is most likely to secretly prank the other members? Everyone pointed at Yubin. Yubin smiled. I feel appreciated. Jiwon shook his head. You should feel guilty. Another question. Who takes the longest to get ready? Everyone looked at Taehyun. Taehyun blinked. Why me? Minwoo answered. Because you have a skincare routine with 14 steps. It's important. Seojun counted on his fingers. Cleanser, toner, serum. Taehyun nodded. Exactly. Jiwon stared. We're going to be late. I've never made us late. Minwoo quietly said. Except last Thursday. Taehyun looked offended. That was one time. Then the producer revealed the final question. If PRISM weren't idols, what would each member be doing? The mood became quieter. Jiwon thought about it. I'd probably become a teacher. Seojun smiled. I'd be a dance instructor. Taehyun looked toward the camera. I'd work with animals. Minwoo answered immediately. Music producer. Yubin thought for a moment. Maybe. He looked at the other 4. I'd probably still be with them. Everyone went quiet. The producer smiled. Even if they weren't idols. Yubin nodded. Yeah. Jiwon smiled. Seojun looked away. Taehyun smiled softly. Minwoo lowered his eyes. Yubin shrugged. We've been together too long. Jiwon reached over and lightly ruffled his hair. You're stuck with us. Yubin laughed. I know. 8 p.m., back at the dorm. The cameras followed them home. Jiwon immediately remembered something. Wait. He looked around. Did anyone clean? Everyone froze. Seojun slowly backed away. Yubin looked innocent. Taehyun looked toward the kitchen. Minwoo pretended to check his phone. Jiwon sighed. Nobody cleaned. Mr. Han appeared behind the camera. That's exactly why we're filming this. The members groaned. The producer smiled. Tonight's challenge is simple. He held up a card. Clean the dorm in 30 minutes. Seojun shouted. No. The timer started. 30. Oh. Everyone scattered. Jiwon cleaned the living room. Taehyun organized the shelves. Minwoo cleaned the kitchen. Yubin picked up clothes. Seojun attacked the vacuum cleaner. Go. The vacuum roared. Faster. Jiwon shouted. You're cleaning, not racing. I'm motivated. At 20 minutes, the dorm was almost spotless. At 15 minutes, Seojun accidentally knocked over a stack of boxes. At 10 minutes, Yubin found an old photo album. He stopped. Guys. Everyone looked. What? Yubin opened the album. It contained photos from their trainee days. 5 younger boys. Awkward hairstyles. Cheap practice clothes. Huge smiles. Seojun sat beside him. Wow. Taehyun looked over. We looked so young. Minwoo smiled. We were. Jiwon sat down. For a moment, the cleaning challenge was forgotten. They flipped through the photos. Their first practice room. Their first evaluation. Their first dorm. Their first stage. Their debut. Their first music show win. 5 boys slowly becoming PRISM. Seojun smiled. We really came far. Jiwon nodded. Yeah. Yubin looked at the photos. I remember this day. Me too. They smiled. Then, beep. The timer reached 0. The producer shouted. Time. Everyone jumped. Seojun looked around. Oh no. Jiwon stood. Did we finish? The producer looked around the dorm. Then smiled. Yes. The members cheered. We did it. Later that night, the cameras finally stopped. The dorm became quiet. Jiwon sat on the sofa. That wasn't so bad. Minwoo nodded. Actually, it was fun. Taehyun smiled. I liked the questions. Seojun stretched. I liked the food. Yubin smiled. I liked the photos. Jiwon looked at them. You know. He paused. I think the fans might actually enjoy seeing this side of us. Seojun nodded. Probably. Minwoo checked his phone. The producers already posted a preview. Everyone gathered around. The preview showed Seojun screaming at the vacuum. Taehyun discussing Gerald. Yubin pulling out the old photo album. Jiwon trying to maintain order. Minwoo staring silently at everyone. The final clip showed all 5 laughing together. The caption read, PRISM off stage, 5 idols, 0 normal days. Seojun smiled. That's actually perfect. Jiwon laughed. Unfortunately. Then Yubin looked at the preview. Again. Hung. Yeah, we're going to be on television every week now, aren't we? Jiwon froze. Mr. Han's voice suddenly came from the hallway. Yes. All 5 members shouted. What? Their manager smiled. Welcome to PRISM's new reality show. Seojun collapsed onto the sofa. Minwoo covered his face. Taehyun sighed. Yubin looked delighted. And Jiwon realized something terrible. Their comeback hadn't even happened yet. But PRISM had already become entertainment for millions of people. Chapter 10. The dorm has 5 men and 1 brain cell. The day after the first episode of PRISM, Offstage aired, the members arrived at the agency to discover something terrifying. They were famous. Not more famous. Not slightly more popular. Very famous. Their reality show clips were everywhere. Seojun fighting the vacuum. Yubin revealing the old trainee photos. Taehyun talking about Gerald. Minwoo's deadpan reactions. Jiwon desperately trying to maintain order. The clips had been shared thousands of times. And one particular phrase was trending. PRISM has 1 brain cell, and they share it. Seojun stared at the screen. That's so mean. Minwoo looked over. It's accurate. Whose brain cell is it? Everyone looked at Jiwon. Jiwon pointed at himself. Why me? Yubin smiled. You're the leader. That's not how brains work. Taehyun calmly nodded. You're the oldest. That's also not how brains work. Seojun raised his hand. I think it's mine. Everyone stared at him. Jiwon immediately said, no. The next challenge. Mr. Han entered the room carrying several envelopes. The members immediately became suspicious. What are those? Jiwon asked. Your next reality show mission. Seojun groaned. Already. You wanted more content. I was joking. Mr. Han handed each member an envelope. Today's episode is called. He paused dramatically. How well do you know your members? Yubin smiled. Easy. Minwoo looked at him. You're going to lose. Why? Because you don't know anything about us. I know everything. Jiwon opened his envelope. Inside was a card. Question 1. What is Jiwon's favorite food? He looked around. Easy. Everyone started writing. The producer counted down. 3, 2, 1. They revealed their answers. Jiwon stared. Seojun, fried chicken. Taehyun, dumplings. Minwoo, ramen. Yubin, anything edible after midnight. Jiwon slowly looked at them. None of you know me. Seojun looked confused. Wait, what's your favorite? Jiwon answered. Grilled beef. Silence. Yubin looked at him. You've never said that. I've said it many times. Minwoo shook his head. No, you haven't. Jiwon stared at them. How do you not know this? Seojun shrugged. We usually just eat whatever you order. Jiwon sighed. Exactly. Question 2. What does Seojun do when he's nervous? Everyone wrote their answers. The producer counted down. The boards went up. Jiwon, talks too much. Taehyun, eats. Minwoo, talks louder. Yubin, eats while talking. Seojun stared. Why does everyone think I eat? Minwoo pointed at him. You are eating right now. Seojun looked down. He was holding a rice cracker. That's unrelated. The producer laughed. Seojun, what's the correct answer? Seojun thought. I dance. Jiwon blinked. You dance when you're nervous. Yes, that's true. Taehyun nodded. That's why he starts dancing backstage before every performance. Seojun smiled. See, they know me. Minwoo shook his head. We know your habits. Question 3. What is Taehyun's strangest habit? Everyone immediately wrote their answers. The boards went up. Jiwon, names appliances. Seojun, talks to appliances. Minwoo, has conversations with appliances. Yubin, treats appliances like family. Taehyun stared at them. Why is this the only thing you know about me? Jiwon pointed at him. You named your refrigerator. Gerald is important. Seojun leaned toward the camera. For anyone watching, Gerald is the refrigerator. Taehyun nodded. Correct. The producer asked. Does Gerald have a personality? Taehyun considered the question. Quiet. Minwoo laughed. Obviously. He's a good listener. He's a refrigerator. Exactly. Question 4. What is Minwoo most likely to do at 2 a.m.? Everyone wrote. The answers. Jiwon, work on music. Seojun, work on music. Taehyun, work on music. Yubin, work on music. Minwoo nodded. Finally, the producer smiled. Correct. Seojun pointed at him. See, we know you. Minwoo smiled. Yes. The next question appeared. What is Minwoo most likely to do at 2:03 a.m.? Everyone stared. Jiwon slowly wrote something. The boards went up. Jiwon, drink coffee. Seojun, drink coffee. Taehyun, drink coffee. Yubin, drink coffee. Minwoo stared. That's also correct. The producer laughed. At 2:07, the members answered. Coffee. 2:15, coffee. 3 o'clock, coffee. Minwoo sighed. I don't drink that much coffee. Jiwon pointed toward the table. There were 3 empty cups beside him. Everyone laughed. Question 5. What is Yubin's secret weapon? The 4 older members stared at him. Yubin smiled. Jiwon wrote. His innocent face. Seojun. His innocent face. Taehyun. His innocent face. Minwoo. Manipulation. Everyone burst out laughing. Yubin looked offended. Hung. Minwoo calmly explained. You use that face to get whatever you want. I don't. You convinced Jiwon to buy you limited edition headphones. They were necessary. You convinced Seojun to clean your room. He needed exercise. You convinced Taehyun to let you name his plant. Taehyun looked confused. Wait. He turned toward Yubin. You named my plant. Yubin froze. Maybe. Taehyun stared. What did you name it? Yubin smiled. Gerald Jr. Taehyun gasped. Absolutely not. The final question. The producer placed one final card on the table. This question is worth double points. The members became serious. The screen displayed, "WHO knows PRISM best." They looked at one another. The producer asked, "What is the one thing all 5 members have in common?" Nobody answered immediately. Seojun thought, "We're handsome." Jiwon shook his head. "That's not an answer." Taehyun raised his hand. "We all like food." Minwoo shook his head. "Not specific enough." Yubin smiled. "We all wanted to become idols." The room became quiet. The producer nodded. "That's correct." Yubin looked at the others. Jiwon smiled. "We all wanted the same thing." Seojun nodded. "To stand on stage." Taehyun added. "To make people remember us." Minwoo smiled. "To make music." Yubin looked at them. "And to do it together." For a moment, nobody joked. Then Seojun raised his hand. "And to eat good food." Everyone laughed. Seojun. "What? It's important." The surprise mission. The producer suddenly stood up. "Since you did so well." The members became suspicious. "We have one final challenge." Jiwon immediately said, "No." The producer laughed. "You haven't heard it. I know your producers." He held up 5 cards. Prism dorm escape room. Seojun's eyes lit up. "Yes." Minwoo looked horrified. "No." Yubin was already excited. "Let's do it." Taehyun asked, "What are the rules?" The producer explained. "You have 30 minutes to escape your own dorm." Everyone stared. Jiwon blinked. "Our own dorm?" "Yes." "How?" "The dorm has been turned into an escape room." Seojun grinned. "This is going to be fun." Minwoo sighed. "This is going to be a disaster." Jiwon looked at the camera. "I would like everyone to remember that I objected." 29:59. The timer started. The 5 members scattered around the dorm. "Look for clues." Jiwon opened a drawer. Nothing. Seojun checked underneath the sofa. Nothing. Yubin inspected a bookshelf. "Wait." Everyone rushed over. "What?" Yubin pulled out a small key. "We found something." Jiwon smiled. "Good." They searched for a lock. There was one on a cabinet. The key fit. Click. The cabinet opened. Inside was a note. Minwoo read it. "Where does PRISM's quietest member go when everyone else becomes too loud?" Everyone turned toward Minwoo. He looked offended. "Why are you looking at me?" Seojun pointed. "Your room." "No." "Studio." "No." "Bathroom." Minwoo sighed. "The recording booth." They ran toward the small recording setup. Another clue was waiting. 1842. They solved the second clue. Then the third. Then the fourth. For the first time, they were working together perfectly. Jiwon gave instructions. Minwoo solved puzzles. Taehyun noticed details. Seojun searched everywhere. Yubin connected the clues. The timer reached 10 minutes. They were close. Then Seojun suddenly shouted, "Wait!" Everyone froze. "What?" He pointed toward the refrigerator. "Gerald." Taehyun immediately walked over. "What about Gerald? Maybe there's a clue on him." Everyone checked the refrigerator. There was a tiny note attached to the door. Taehyun smiled. "I knew Gerald would help." Jiwon stared. "Of course he would." Minwoo removed the note. It contained the final clue. "Open the place where your most important memories are kept." They all looked at each other. Yubin suddenly smiled. The photo album. They ran to the living room. The old trainee photo album was on the shelf. Jiwon opened it. Inside was a final key. He picked it up. The timer showed 0:47. Run. They sprinted toward the front door. Jiwon inserted the key. Click. The door opened. Escaped. The 5 members shouted, "We did it." Seojun jumped onto Jiwon's back. "We won." Yubin hugged Taehyun. Minwoo laughed. Even Taehyun was smiling widely. The producer applauded. "Congratulations." Jiwon was breathing heavily. "That was actually fun." Seojun grinned. "See." Minwoo looked at him. "Don't get used to being right." After filming ended, the producer asked one final question. "Was there anything you learned today?" Jiwon thought about it. "We know each other better than we think." Seojun nodded. Taehyun smiled. Minwoo agreed. Yubin looked toward the old photo album. "We've been together for a long time." Jiwon smiled. "Yeah." Then Seojun raised his hand. "I learned something too." "What?" "Gerald is an excellent teammate." Taehyun nodded seriously. "Finally, someone understands him." Jiwon laughed. "He's a refrigerator." Taehyun smiled. He's family. The 5 members laughed. The camera slowly pulled back as they sat together in their messy dorm. 5 idols. 5 completely different personalities. One friendship that had survived trainee days, debut, fame, exhausting schedules. And Gerald, their refrigerator. The reality show producers had expected chaos. They got something better. They got PRISM being exactly who they were. And the fans were going to love every second of it. Chapter 11, The First Music Show. The morning of PRISM's first music show performance arrived far too quickly. At 4:30 a.m., the dorm lights turned on. Wake up. Nobody moved. Mr. Han stood in the hallway. PRISM. Silence. Wake up. Seojun pulled his blanket over his head. 5 more minutes. You said that 20 minutes ago. I meant 5 more minutes from now. Jiwon slowly sat up. What time is it? 4:30. He stared at the clock. That's not a real time. It is. Who decided humans should be awake at 4:30? Mr. Han pointed toward the bathroom. Get ready. By 5:15, the dorm was chaos. Stylists had arrived. Makeup bags covered the dining table. Hair products were everywhere. Clothes were hanging from doors. Seojun was running around, looking for one shoe. Where's my other shoe? Jiwon looked at him. Your foot. Seojun looked down. He was wearing it. Oh. Minwoo sighed. Taehyun was already sitting calmly while his hair was being styled. Yubin was eating toast. Jiwon stared at him. Are you seriously eating? Yubin nodded. I need energy. Seojun pointed. Can I have some? You have your own. I ate mine. That's your problem. Mr. Han looked at the clock. We leave in 10 minutes. Everyone froze. Jiwon stood. Let's move. 6:20 a.m., the music show. The backstage area was already packed. Idols from different groups were walking through the halls. Staff members rushed around carrying clothing racks and microphones. PRISM entered their waiting room. A huge sign was taped to the door. PRISM, Flashpoint. Seojun stared at it. We're really here. Jiwon smiled. Yeah. Taehyun looked around. I remember coming here as trainees. Minwoo nodded. Same. Yubin smiled. This feels different. It did. Years ago, they had watched other idols perform from the audience. Today, their names were on the dressing room door. Their song was playing through the building. Their comeback was on every schedule. They had finally reached the stage they'd dreamed about. Then, a staff member opened the door. PRISM, your rehearsal is ready. Jiwon stood. Let's go. 7 a.m., first rehearsal. The stage looked enormous. Empty seats stretched out in front of them. Huge screens displayed. Flashpoint, PRISM. The members stood in their positions. The music started. They moved. 5 members. 1 formation. The choreography filled the stage. When the song ended, the stage manager nodded. Good. The members bowed. Thank you. Then Seojun noticed something. Wait. Everyone turned. What? There are no fans. Jiwon laughed. Because it's rehearsal. I know. Seojun looked at the empty seats. It feels weird. Yubin nodded. I understand. Minwoo looked toward the stage lights. We'll see them soon. Taehyun smiled. Then let's make sure we're ready. 9:30 a.m., waiting. The actual performance wasn't until later. Which meant PRISM had to wait. And waiting was dangerous. Seojun became bored after 11 minutes. I'm hungry. Jiwon didn't look up. You ate. I'm hungry again. You always are. Seojun opened a snack. Minwoo stared. Where did you get that? My bag. Why do you have 12 snacks? Preparation. Taehyun looked over. That's actually impressive. Yubin reached for one. Seojun slapped his hand away. No. Why? Emergency food. You have 12. Exactly. Jiwon sighed. Share. Seojun reluctantly opened the bag. Fine. Within seconds, everyone was eating. A few minutes later, another idol group passed their waiting room. The members bowed politely. Hello. PRISM bowed back. Hello. After they left, Seojun whispered. They looked so cool. Jiwon smiled. They're professionals. Taehyun nodded. We should learn from them. Minwoo looked at Seojun. Especially the professionalism. Seojun frowned. I'm professional. Yubin laughed. You forgot your shoe. That was one time. This morning. Still one time. 11:40 a.m., the countdown. The staff finally came in. PRISM, stand by. The room became quiet. Jiwon stood. Everyone checked their microphones. Taehyun adjusted his in-ear. Minwoo stretched his shoulders. Yubin took a deep breath. Seojun bounced lightly on his feet. Jiwon looked at them. Ready. Everyone nodded. Let's do this. They walked toward the stage. The sound of the audience grew louder. Then they heard it. Prism, prism, prism. Seojun stopped. His eyes widened. They're chanting our name. Jiwon smiled. Yeah. Yubin looked toward the stage entrance. We're really doing this. Minwoo nodded. Let's go. The first performance. The lights went dark. The audience screamed. A voice announced. Prism. The opening beat of Flashpoint began. One spotlight appeared. Jiwon stepped forward. The first line started. Then the lights exploded. Seojun moved into formation. Taehyun turned. Minwoo hit the beat. Yubin stepped forward. The 5 members moved together. This wasn't rehearsal. There were fans screaming, cameras moving, stage lights flashing, their names appearing on giant screens. The choreography they'd practiced hundreds of times finally felt alive. Jiwon looked toward the audience. Thousands of light sticks moved together. For a split second, he forgot his next line. Then Seojun moved past him exactly as they had practiced. Jiwon recovered. The chorus hit. Flashpoint. The entire stage exploded with light. The members gave everything they had. And when the final beat ended, the audience erupted. Prism stood frozen for a moment. Then they bowed. Deeply. Together. Backstage, the moment they left the stage, Seojun screamed. We did it. Yubin jumped. We did. Taehyun laughed. Minwoo smiled. Jiwon was breathing heavily. He looked at the stage behind them. We really did. Then Seojun suddenly grabbed him. Hung. What? We just performed Flashpoint. I know. On a music show. I know. With fans. I know. They all burst out laughing. The encore. Later, they were told PRISM had received the highest number of live votes during the first half of the broadcast. The members stared at the screen. Seojun pointed. Look. Minwoo checked the numbers. That's a lot. Yubin smiled. We're doing well. Taehyun nodded. Then Jiwon's phone buzzed. A message from Mr. Han. You have another schedule in 20 minutes. Jiwon stared. He slowly showed the others. Silence. Seojun's smile disappeared. Already. Minwoo sighed. That's idle life. Taehyun stood. Then let's go. Yubin smiled. At least we have snacks. Seojun looked at him. Did you steal mine? Yubin smiled innocently. Maybe. Yubin. He ran. As PRISM left the building, the fans outside shouted their names. The 5 members stopped. They turned around. And bowed one more time. Jiwon smiled. Thank you for coming. Seojun waved both hands. Taehyun bowed elegantly. Minwoo gave a small smile. Yubin made a heart with his fingers. The fans screamed even louder. The 5 members finally climbed into their van. The door closed. Everyone immediately collapsed. Seojun lay across the seats. My legs are gone. Minwoo closed his eyes. My soul left 10 minutes ago. Taehyun leaned against the window. I'm tired. Yubin opened a snack. I'm hungry. Jiwon laughed. You're always hungry. Yubin offered him one. Want one? Jiwon took it. Thanks. The van started moving. For a few minutes, nobody spoke. Then Seojun quietly said, Hung. Yeah. Do you think our younger selves would be proud? Jiwon looked out the window. He thought about 5 trainees practicing until midnight. 5 boys sharing cheap meals. 5 friends dreaming about a stage they weren't sure they'd ever stand on. He smiled. Yeah. Taehyun nodded. I think so. Minwoo smiled. Definitely. Yubin leaned back. Then we should keep going. Jiwon looked at all 4 members. Yeah. He raised his snack. To PRISM. Seojun raised his. To PRISM. Taehyun joined. To PRISM. Minwoo lifted his coffee. To PRISM. Yubin smiled. To our first music show. Their snacks and drinks tapped together. Clink. Then Seojun looked at Jiwon. Can we celebrate with chicken? Jiwon sighed. Of course. The van erupted in cheers. Their first music show performance was over. Their comeback had officially begun. And PRISM had taken their first real step toward becoming the idols they'd always dreamed of being. Unfortunately for everyone around them, they were still PRISM, which meant their next schedule would probably become a disaster. Chapter 12, The Fan Sign Disaster. 2 days after PRISM's first music show performance, the members arrived at the agency expecting another exhausting rehearsal. Instead, Mr. Han greeted them with a smile. That was suspicious. Jiwon stopped. Why are you smiling? I'm allowed to smile. Not like that. Seojun looked at him. What kind of smile? The, something terrible is about to happen, smile. Mr. Han sighed. Nothing terrible is happening. He handed Jiwon a schedule. Jiwon's eyes widened. Fan sign. Yes. Seojun immediately became excited. Really? Yubin grabbed the schedule. We're meeting fans. Yes. Taehyun smiled. That's nice. Minwoo nodded. Sounds peaceful. Mr. Han stared at them. It won't be. Everyone looked at him. Why? He pointed at Seojun. Because of him. Seojun looked offended. Why me? Because last time you tried to give a fan your entire lunch. She said she hadn't eaten. She was holding a sandwich. Oh. 2 p.m., fan sign venue. The venue was decorated with purple banners and PRISM's Flashpoint logo. Tables were arranged in a long line. 5 seats. 5 microphones. Hundreds of albums stacked behind them. And on the other side of the room. Fans. Lots of them. Seojun peeked around the curtain. Wow. Jiwon smiled. Don't panic. I'm not panicking. You're bouncing. I'm excited. Yubin looked over. You've been bouncing for 5 minutes. Seojun stopped. I'm still excited. Taehyun adjusted his jacket. Everyone looks nervous. Minwoo nodded. Even me. Jiwon looked surprised. You. Minwoo shrugged. We usually perform for thousands of people. Yes. But talking to one person directly is different. Jiwon understood. On stage, they could hide behind the lights. Here, there was nowhere to hide. Every smile, every word, every reaction, was directly between them and a fan. Jiwon smiled. Then let's make it a good day. The fan sign begins. The first fan approached Jiwon. She was visibly nervous. Hello. Jiwon smiled warmly. Hi. What's your name? She told him. He repeated it carefully. Nice to meet you. She smiled. I've been following PRISM since your debut. Thank you. You've worked really hard. Jiwon nodded. We have. She looked at him. I'm glad you're enjoying the comeback. Jiwon smiled. We really are. She handed him a small letter. This is for you. Jiwon accepted it. Thank you. I'll read it later. The fan smiled. Then she moved to Seojun. Seojun immediately grinned. Hello. She laughed. You're very energetic. I've been told that. Your performance was amazing. Thank you. She handed him an album. Can you write something funny? Seojun thought. Then wrote. Don't forget to eat. He looked proud. The fan laughed. That's your advice. Yes. Why? Food is important. At Taehyun's table, a fan placed a small gift in front of him. Taehyun looked at it. What's this? A tiny refrigerator keychain. Taehyun's eyes widened. A refrigerator. She nodded. I heard about Gerald. Taehyun smiled. Gerald would appreciate this. The fan laughed. Is Gerald really your favorite? Taehyun thought about it. He's family. The fan covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. Taehyun signed the album, then added, say hello to Gerald. The fan stared. You mean my refrigerator? Yes. She laughed. Okay. Minwoo's fan approached next. She placed a coffee cup on the table. Minwoo looked at it. Is this for me? Yes. He smiled. Thank you. It's a coffee gift. His eyes immediately brightened. Jiwon noticed from the next seat. He whispered. He's never looked that happy during a fan sign. Minwoo heard him. I can hear you. Jiwon laughed. The fan smiled. Do you really drink that much coffee? Minwoo paused. No. Jiwon started laughing. The fan laughed too. Minwoo sighed. Okay. Maybe. Yubin's first fan sat down. She smiled mischievously. I have a question. Yubin smiled. Go ahead. Are you really the biggest prankster in PRISM? Yubin looked innocent. No. Jiwon immediately called from the next seat. Yes. Seojun joined. Absolutely. Taehyun nodded. Definitely. Minwoo didn't even look up. Without question. Yubin stared at all four. Why are you all ruining my image? The fan laughed. Can you tell me your best prank? Yubin thought. Then smiled. I once replaced all of Jiwon's alarm sounds with recordings of Seojun singing. Jiwon immediately turned. You what? Yubin burst out laughing. The fan started laughing too. Seojun looked offended. My singing is beautiful. Jiwon shook his head. It was 6 in the morning. It was motivational. It was terrifying. The entire table erupted in laughter. The unexpected question. Halfway through the fan sign, a young fan approached Jiwon. She looked nervous. Jiwon smiled. Hello. She sat down. Hi. How are you? I'm okay. She hesitated. Then asked. Can I ask something? Of course. What do you do when you're having a bad day? Jiwon paused. The question was different from the usual ones. He thought carefully. I talk to the members. She smiled. Even when you're upset with them. Especially then. She laughed softly. Jiwon continued. Sometimes we don't solve the problem immediately. But we're together. He smiled. That helps. The fan nodded. Thank you. Thank you for asking. She moved down the line. Seojun smiled at her. Are you okay? She nodded. Yes. He gave her a thumbs up. Good. The chaos begins. Everything was going smoothly. Until a fan gave Seojun a small stuffed animal. It was a tiny shark. Seojun immediately loved it. Look. He held it up. Isn't it cute? Yubin leaned over. That's adorable. Seojun hugged it. I'm keeping it. Jiwon smiled. Of course. Then Yubin whispered. Does it have a name? Seojun thought. Sharky. Taehyun looked at him. That's terrible. It's perfect. Minwoo nodded. It's simple. Seojun smiled. Thank you. Yubin reached over. Can I borrow Sharky? No. Just for a second. No. Please. No. Yubin smiled. Seojun narrowed his eyes. Don't. Yubin's hand slowly moved toward the shark. Seojun pulled it away. The fan sitting in front of them burst out laughing. Jiwon sighed. Please don't fight over the fan's gift. We're not fighting, Yubin said. Seojun hugged Sharky tighter. We're negotiating. The 5-member photo. At the end of the fan sign, the staff announced a group photo. PRISM, please gather together. The members stood. The photographer raised the camera. Ready. Seojun threw up a peace sign. Taehyun smiled. Minwoo gave a small wave. Yubin leaned toward Jiwon. Jiwon smiled. Perfect. The photographer took the photo. Then Seojun suddenly shouted. Wait. Everyone looked at him. I forgot Sharky. He ran back to the table. The photographer laughed. Bring him. Seojun returned holding the stuffed shark. The 5 members posed again. This time, Jiwon held Sharky between them. Flash. The photo was perfect. After the fan sign. Backstage, the 5 members sat together. They were exhausted, but happy. Seojun still had Sharky. He needs a home. Jiwon looked at him. He's already going home with you. Good. Taehyun held up the refrigerator keychain he'd received. Gerald has a friend now. Minwoo laughed. You actually brought it with you. Of course. Yubin looked through the letters fans had given them. There are so many. Jiwon nodded. We'll read them carefully. The room became quiet. They had received hundreds of messages. Some were funny. Some were encouraging. Some were deeply personal. But they all had one thing in common. The fans had chosen to spend their time supporting 5 people who had once been unknown trainees. Seojun looked down at his letters. People really like us. Minwoo smiled. Yeah. Taehyun nodded. We're lucky. Yubin looked at Jiwon. Hung. Yeah. Do you think we'll still be doing this years from now? Jiwon looked at the others. Seojun was hugging Sharky. Taehyun was holding Gerald's keychain. Minwoo had a coffee in one hand and letters in the other. Yubin was smiling. Jiwon smiled too. I hope so. Seojun nodded. Me too. That evening, PRISM's official account uploaded the group photo. 5 idols. 1 stuffed shark. 1 refrigerator keychain. And 5 completely different expressions. The caption read, "Thank you for spending today with us. Heart." Within minutes, the comments exploded. WHO is Sharky. Taehyun's Gerald keychain loudly crying. Minwoo finally smiled. Yubin looks like he's about to prank someone. Jiwon holding Sharky lol. Then someone noticed something else. A fan had zoomed into the background of the photo. On the table behind them was a small note. It read, PRISM, please stay together for a long time. The comments became flooded with hearts. Jiwon saw it. He smiled. Then he looked at the other members. Guys. What? He showed them the photo. Seojun smiled. Of course. Taehyun nodded. Definitely. Minwoo smiled. As long as we can. Yubin leaned against Jiwon's shoulder. We're stuck together. Jiwon laughed. Apparently. 5 members. 1 group. And now, thousands of people cheering them on. Their comeback was becoming bigger every day. But for PRISM, the most important part wasn't the views. It wasn't the charts. It wasn't the stage. It was knowing that somewhere out there, people were waiting to see them again. And that made every exhausting day worth it. Chapter 13, The Accidental Sleepover. PRISM had survived the fan sign. They had survived the music show. They had survived the reality show. They had even survived the comeback schedule. So naturally, the next disaster happened at their own dorm. It started with a thunderstorm. 8 p.m. Rain hammered against the windows. Jiwon looked outside. That's getting worse. Seojun was lying on the sofa with Sharky tucked under one arm. Good. Jiwon turned. Good. Rain means we're not going anywhere. We have no schedule tonight. Exactly. Seojun hugged Sharky. Perfect. Taehyun sat near the window, drinking tea. The weather forecast says it'll continue until tomorrow morning. Minwoo looked up from his laptop. Then we're staying home. Yubin smiled. Movie night. Everyone looked at Jiwon. He sighed. Fine. Seojun immediately jumped up. I'll get snacks. You already have snacks. More snacks. How many? Seojun thought. Enough. Jiwon knew that answer meant trouble. 8:30 p.m., movie night. The living room was transformed. Blankets covered the sofa. Pillows were everywhere. Snacks covered the coffee table. The lights were dimmed. The television displayed a movie menu. Seojun sat in the middle holding Sharky. Yubin had claimed the biggest blanket. Minwoo had his laptop nearby. Taehyun had tea. Jiwon had the remote. Okay, Jiwon said. What are we watching? Action, Seojun said. Comedy, Yubin said. Documentary, Taehyun said. Something short, Minwoo said. Everyone looked at Jiwon. He sighed. Fine. Comedy. Seojun cheered. The movie started. For the first 20 minutes, everything was peaceful. Then Seojun started laughing. Loudly. Very loudly. Jiwon glanced at him. Why are you laughing like that? It's funny. I know. You should laugh too. I'm trying. Seojun laughed even harder. Yubin joined. Then Taehyun. Even Minwoo eventually smiled. Soon, all five were laughing. The movie became background noise. 10:15 p.m. The storm outside became louder. Lightning flashed. Boom. The lights flickered. Seojun froze. Did you see that? Jiwon looked toward the window. It's just lightning. The lights flickered again. Then, click. Everything went dark. Silence. Seojun whispered. Hung. Jiwon sighed. Power outage. Yubin immediately turned on his phone flashlight. Taehyun calmly stood. I'll check the breaker. Minwoo picked up his phone. No signal. Seojun looked horrified. No Wi-Fi. No Wi-Fi. He slowly hugged Sharky tighter. This is serious. Jiwon laughed. We survived debut. We can survive a power outage. Taehyun returned a few minutes later. Breaker isn't the problem. Jiwon frowned. So, looks like the whole building lost power. Minwoo checked his phone again. How long? Could be hours. Seojun stared at him. Hours. Yubin smiled. Then we need candles. Jiwon looked at him. Where would we get candles? Yubin pointed toward the storage cabinet. There. Jiwon opened it. Inside were emergency supplies. Flashlights. Batteries. Candles. And one box labeled, "Do not open without permission." Everyone stared. Seojun immediately reached for it. Jiwon grabbed his hand. No. Why? Because it says not to. That makes me want to open it more. Exactly why it says that. 11 p.m. The power still hadn't returned. The five members sat on the floor around a small battery-powered lantern. Without television. Without internet. Without phones. For once, they had nothing to distract them. Seojun sighed. This is boring. Yubin smiled. We can talk. About what? Anything. Taehyun nodded. I don't mind. Minwoo closed his laptop. Same. Jiwon looked around. Okay. He thought for a moment. Let's play a game. Seojun immediately became interested. What game? Truth or dare? Minwoo stared at him. We're adults. Yes. And idols. Yes. And you want us to play truth or dare? Jiwon smiled. Yes. Yubin laughed. Let's do it. Round 1. Yubin pointed at Seojun. Truth or dare? Truth. Yubin smiled. What was your most embarrassing trainee memory? Seojun's smile disappeared. Oh. Everyone leaned closer. Seojun sighed. Fine. He took a deep breath. During our trainee days, I accidentally walked into the wrong practice room. Jiwon laughed. That's it. No. Seojun looked embarrassed. There was another group practicing. Taehyun smiled. What happened? I thought it was our room, so I started dancing. Everyone burst out laughing. You danced? Yes. How long? About 30 seconds. Jiwon was crying with laughter. What did they do? They just stared at me. Seojun covered his face. Then someone finally said, "You're in the wrong room." The room erupted again. Round 2. Seojun pointed at Taehyun. Truth or dare? Truth. What's the strangest thing you've ever talked to? Taehyun didn't hesitate. Gerald. Everyone groaned. He's a refrigerator. Taehyun smiled. Exactly. Seojun shook his head. Fine. Another one. Taehyun thought. My plant. Yubin leaned forward. You talk to your plant too? Sometimes. Jiwon stared at him. Do you talk to everything? Taehyun considered it. Not everything. Minwoo asked. What's the difference? Taehyun answered seriously. Some things aren't good listeners. Everyone laughed. Round 3. Taehyun pointed at Minwoo. Truth or dare? Truth. What was the first song you wrote? Minwoo became quiet. My first song. Yes. He thought about it. It was terrible. Jiwon smiled. Was it really? Very. Do you still have it? Minwoo nodded. Somewhere. Seojun grinned. Can we hear it? No. Please. No. Just once. No. Yubin laughed. We're definitely finding it. Minwoo pointed at him. Don't. Round 4. Minwoo pointed at Yubin. Truth or dare? Truth. Why did you want to become an idol? Yubin's smile softened. He looked toward the dark window. I liked performing. He paused. But everyone waited. My parents thought I should choose something more practical. Seojun became quiet. Yubin smiled. I didn't know if I could actually make it. Jiwon nodded. But you did. Yeah. Yubin looked at all 4 members. I think I stayed because you guys were there. The room became quiet. Seojun smiled. Taehyun nodded. Minwoo looked down. Jiwon smiled warmly. Good answer. Yubin laughed. Your turn. Round 5. Yubin pointed at Jiwon. Truth or dare? Jiwon thought. Truth. Yubin smiled. Do you regret becoming PRISM's leader? Everyone immediately looked at Jiwon. He laughed. That's a dangerous question. You chose truth. I know. He looked around the room. At Seojun, Taehyun, Minwoo, Yubin. Then he smiled. Never. The room became quiet. Even when you're exhausted. Yes. Even when we're annoying. Especially then. Seojun smiled. Jiwon continued. Being your leader isn't always easy. Everyone laughed. But, he paused. I wouldn't trade it. Seojun suddenly threw a pillow at him. Hung, that's too emotional. Jiwon laughed. Why did you throw a pillow? I don't know. Yubin laughed. He's embarrassed. Shut up. Midnight. The storm continued. The members eventually moved from the floor to the sofas. Seojun was half asleep. Sharky was still in his arms. Taehyun had fallen asleep sitting upright. Minwoo was quietly scrolling through photos he'd taken during the comeback. Yubin was wrapped in a blanket. Jiwon looked around. They were supposed to be resting. Instead, they were having an accidental sleepover. He smiled. Good night, guys. Good night, Minwoo murmured. Night, Yubin said. Taehyun barely opened his eyes. Good night. Seojun was already asleep. 7 a.m. The power returned. The television suddenly turned on. Flashpoint blasted through the speakers. Seojun shot upright. What? Taehyun woke up instantly. Minwoo dropped his phone. Yubin nearly fell off the sofa. Jiwon grabbed the remote. Turn it off. The television displayed their own music video. Seojun stared. We're being attacked by ourselves. Jiwon finally turned it off. Silence. Everyone looked around. They were sleeping everywhere. Blankets on the floor. Pillows under the table. Snacks scattered around the room. And Sharky was somehow sitting upright on the sofa. Yubin looked at the mess. We really had a sleepover. Minwoo nodded. Apparently. Taehyun stood and stretched. I enjoyed it. Seojun smiled. Me too. Jiwon looked at the clock. We have a schedule in 3 hours. Everyone froze. Seojun slowly lay back down. Cancel it. We can't. Tell them we're sick. No. Tell them the storm ate us. No. Yubin raised his hand. Can I say Gerald did it? Jiwon stared at him. Absolutely not. Taehyun looked offended. Don't blame Gerald. Minwoo laughed. Here we go again. As they cleaned up, Jiwon noticed something on the coffee table. 5 mugs, 5 blankets, 5 phones, 5 half-eaten snacks, and 1 little plush shark. He smiled. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't an idle schedule. It wasn't a stage. It wasn't something their fans would normally see. It was just 5 friends spending a rainy night together. And somehow, those were becoming some of their favorite memories. Seojun walked past him. Hung. Yeah, what's for breakfast? Jiwon laughed. You're hungry already. Of course. Yubin appeared behind him. Me too. Minwoo sighed. Same. Taehyun nodded. I could eat. Jiwon shook his head. Fine. He looked at the 4 members. Breakfast. The 4 cheered. Then Seojun raised Sharky into the air. PRISM sleepover. Jiwon laughed. Never again. Everyone shouted. Again. Jiwon knew immediately. They were absolutely going to do this again. Chapter 14, The Variety Show Challenge. PRISM's comeback was officially in full swing. Their teaser had gone viral. Their first music show stage had been a success. Their fan sign had been chaotic. Their reality show was becoming increasingly popular. And now they had another schedule. A variety show. Again. Jiwon stared at the schedule. Why are we going back? Mr. Han looked at him. Because they invited you. Why? Because your last appearance had the highest ratings of the episode. Seojun smiled proudly. See. Minwoo looked at him. You're the reason. I know. You shouldn't be proud of that. I am. Yubin leaned over the schedule. What are we doing, Mr. Han handed them the full rundown. PRISM, Variety Special, Dance Challenge, Cooking Challenge, Team Games, Random Questions, Surprise Mission. Seojun's eyes lit up. Cooking. Jiwon immediately said. No. But. No. We've improved. Minwoo looked at him. You put sugar in Taehyun's sandwich. It tasted good. It tasted like dessert. Exactly. Taehyun nodded. It was surprisingly good. Jiwon stared at him. Don't encourage him. 1 p.m., studio. The 5 members entered the variety show studio. The hosts greeted them enthusiastically. PRISM. The audience cheered. Seojun waved both hands. Yubin bowed. Taehyun smiled. Minwoo gave a polite greeting. Jiwon bowed deeply. Thank you for inviting us. The host laughed. We're excited. Another host added. We heard PRISM is terrible at being normal. The audience laughed. Jiwon smiled awkwardly. That's an exaggeration. Seojun whispered. It's not. Jiwon elbowed him. Round 1, Random Dance. The first challenge was simple. Music would play randomly. The members had to recognize their own songs and dance immediately. The first song started. It was Flashpoint. All 5 members moved perfectly. The audience cheered. The music suddenly changed. It was one of their older songs. They immediately switched choreography. Another song. Another switch. Another. PRISM was flawless. The host looked impressed. Wow. They're really good. Jiwon smiled. Of course. Then the music changed again. It wasn't PRISM. It was a children's song. The audience laughed. Seojun immediately started dancing. Yubin joined. Taehyun reluctantly followed. Minwoo stared at them. Jiwon stared at Minwoo. Minwoo sighed. Fine. 5 idols performed an absurdly cute children's dance with completely serious expressions. The audience exploded. When the music ended, the host was crying from laughter. Why were you all so serious? Jiwon answered. Professionalism. Round 2, guess the member. The members were separated. Each received a board. The host asked questions about PRISM. Who takes the longest to get ready? All 5 wrote. The answers. Taehyun. Taehyun looked offended. Again. Seojun laughed. 14 skincare steps. It's 12. Minwoo looked at him. You added 2. I upgraded. Who steals food from the other members? 4 boards immediately said. Yubin. Yubin shook his head. I don't steal. Jiwon raised an eyebrow. What do you call taking my chicken without asking? Sharing. You ate it. Exactly. The host laughed. Yubin, you have a very interesting definition of sharing. Who is most likely to forget something important? Everyone looked at Seojun. Seojun's mouth dropped open. Why me? Jiwon answered. You forgot your passport before an overseas schedule. That happened once. Minwoo added. You forgot your wallet yesterday. That was different. Taehyun said. You forgot your phone this morning. Seojun looked down. He suddenly realized his phone wasn't in his pocket. Where is my phone? The entire studio exploded. Yubin pointed toward the table. It's right there. Seojun stared. Oh. Jiwon covered his face. Round 3, Cooking Challenge. The host smiled. Now for our most dangerous game. The members immediately became nervous. Cooking. Jiwon stood. We're leaving. The host laughed. No escape. 5 cooking stations were prepared. Each member had to make a dish. The host gave them one rule. Nobody can help anyone else. Jiwon looked at the others. This is going to be terrible. Seojun rolled up his sleeves. I'm ready. Minwoo put on an apron. Taehyun inspected the ingredients. Yubin smiled. I have a plan. Jiwon immediately looked suspicious. What's your plan? You'll see. Jiwon's dish. Jiwon chose fried rice. Simple. Safe. He chopped everything carefully. Added the ingredients. Cooked it properly. The host watched. You seem experienced. I cook sometimes. Seojun shouted from across the room. He makes food for us. Jiwon nodded. Unfortunately. Seojun's dish. Seojun decided to make pancakes. He poured the batter. Flipped one. It landed perfectly. He smiled. See. Another. Perfect. Another. Perfect. The audience applauded. Seojun looked proud. Then he attempted a huge flip. The pancake flew into the air. Everyone watched. It landed. On his head. Silence. Then the audience exploded. Seojun stood frozen. The pancake slowly slid down his hair. Jiwon covered his mouth. Are you okay? Seojun removed it. Perfectly. Taehyun's dish. Taehyun prepared a carefully arranged fruit dessert. Everything was symmetrical. Beautiful. The host stared. This looks like something from a restaurant. Taehyun smiled. Thank you. Seojun walked over. Can I eat it? No. Why? It's for judging. Just one. No. Half. No. Seojun walked away. Fine. 5 seconds later, Taehyun noticed a missing strawberry. He slowly looked toward Seojun. Seojun. Seojun froze. What? Where is my strawberry? I don't know. You have strawberry juice on your hand. Seojun looked down. Coincidence. Minwoo's dish. Minwoo made pasta. The host watched him carefully. You look very serious. I don't want to lose. You've turned cooking into a competition. Everything is a competition. Jiwon laughed. That's why he always wins. Minwoo finished his pasta. He tasted it. Nodded. Good. The host asked. Can we taste it? Minwoo hesitated. Fine. The hosts tasted it. Their eyes widened. This is excellent. Minwoo smiled. Seojun stared. How? Minwoo shrugged. I can cook. You never cook for us. Because you people eat everything. Exactly. Yubin's dish. Yubin placed his finished dish on the table. Everyone stared. It looked suspiciously professional. Jiwon frowned. Did you actually cook that? Yes. You didn't secretly order it. No. Taehyun took a bite. His eyes widened. This is really good. Seojun tried it. Wow. Minwoo nodded. Excellent. Jiwon tasted it. He stared at Yubin. Why are you hiding this talent? Yubin smiled. Because nobody asked. The host laughed. Yubin wins the cooking challenge. Yubin raised both hands. Yes. Seojun pointed at him. You're cooking dinner tonight. Yubin's smile disappeared. No. Round 4, the surprise mission. The host suddenly brought out 5 large boxes. The members stared. What are those? Your final challenge. Jiwon immediately became suspicious. The host opened the first box. Inside was a stack of balloons. The second contained costumes. The third contained props. The fourth contained random objects. The fifth contained a tiny refrigerator. Taehyun stood up. Is that real? The host laughed. It's a prop. Taehyun stared at it. Jiwon immediately pointed at him. Don't. Taehyun sat down. The host smiled. We're going to test how well you work together. Each member had to complete a ridiculous task while the others gave instructions. The first challenge went to Seojun. He had to wear an inflatable dinosaur costume. The audience screamed. Seojun stared at the costume. No. Jiwon laughed. Yes. Seojun slowly put it on. Within seconds, a giant inflatable dinosaur was standing in the middle of the studio. Yubin nearly fell over laughing. Seojun. The dinosaur turned toward him. Don't laugh. The host gave the others a challenge. Guide Seojun through the obstacle course without touching him. Jiwon shouted instructions. Left. Seojun went right. Right. I can't see. Stop. The dinosaur crashed into a foam wall. Boom. The audience erupted. Minwoo was laughing so hard he couldn't speak. Taehyun covered his mouth. Yubin was on the floor. Seojun emerged from the inflatable costume. I'm quitting. Jiwon laughed. No, you're not. The final challenge. The last mission required all 5 members. They had to stack 5 giant boxes while standing on separate platforms. The catch. They couldn't speak. They had to communicate using gestures. The timer started. 3 o'clock. Jiwon pointed. Minwoo nodded. Taehyun moved. Yubin understood. Seojun grabbed the first box. Somehow, they worked perfectly together. The audience became quiet. The stack grew. 1 box. 2. 3. 4. The final box remained. Jiwon pointed toward Seojun. Seojun understood. He lifted the box. Yubin steadied it. Taehyun guided the angle. Minwoo held the base. Jiwon gave the final signal. The box landed. 007. The timer stopped. Success. The audience erupted. The 5 members immediately high-fived. Seojun jumped. We did it. The host smiled. That was incredible. Jiwon laughed. We actually worked together. Minwoo nodded. We've practiced together for years. Taehyun smiled. We know what the others are going to do. Yubin nodded. Even without words. For a brief moment, PRISM looked completely professional. Then Seojun pointed toward the giant dinosaur costume. Can I keep that? Everyone shouted. No. After filming. Backstage, the members sat together. Seojun was still laughing. That was fun. Jiwon smiled. You're the only person who enjoyed wearing that. It was comfortable. It was an inflatable dinosaur. Exactly. Taehyun looked at the tiny refrigerator prop he'd been given as a joke. He picked it up. Do you think Gerald would like this? Jiwon stared. Gerald is a full-sized refrigerator. I know. Then why are you asking? Taehyun shrugged. Maybe he needs a friend. Minwoo laughed. Yubin shook his head. We're impossible. Seojun nodded. But we're good at variety shows. Jiwon smiled. Unfortunately, you're right. His phone buzzed. He checked the message. PRISM has been invited to host a special comeback segment next week. Jiwon stared. Seojun leaned over. What is it? Jiwon showed them. Yubin smiled. More television. Minwoo sighed. More cameras. Taehyun nodded. More work. Seojun grinned. More fun. Jiwon looked at the 4 of them. Then smiled. More PRISM. Seojun raised his hand. And hopefully more food. Everyone laughed. Their comeback was becoming busier by the day. But somewhere between the stages, cameras, fan signs, reality shows, and ridiculous challenges, PRISM was becoming more comfortable being exactly who they were. 5 idols. 5 personalities. 1 group. And absolutely no chance of being normal. Chapter 15, The Dorm Cooking War. PRISM had one rule after the variety show. Nobody was allowed to cook without supervision. Unfortunately, nobody told Yubin. 6:30 p.m., the dorm. Jiwon walked into the kitchen. He stopped. Yubin was wearing an apron. Taehyun was sitting at the counter. Minwoo was drinking coffee. Seojun was holding a frying pan. Jiwon slowly looked around. What are you doing? Yubin smiled. Cooking. Jiwon immediately pointed at Seojun. Why is he holding a frying pan? Seojun looked at it. I don't know. Yubin answered. We're making dinner. Jiwon stared at them. Who approved this? Nobody answered. Who is supervising? Silence. Jiwon sighed. Fine. What are you making? Yubin proudly held up a recipe. 5-course dinner. Jiwon blinked. 5 courses. Yes. Minwoo nodded. We may have gotten ambitious. Taehyun added. I was only asked to taste test. Seojun raised his hand. I was told to chop vegetables. Jiwon looked at the cutting board. There were vegetables cut into completely different sizes. You failed. I did my best. Course 1, soup. Yubin stirred the pot. First course. Jiwon looked inside. What kind of soup is this? Secret. Why is it secret? Because I don't know yet. Jiwon stared at him. Minwoo quietly said. That's concerning. Taehyun took a small spoonful. He tasted it. Everyone waited. Taehyun thought. He paused. Interesting. Jiwon frowned. Interesting good. Taehyun smiled. Interesting. Seojun took the spoon. He tasted it. His expression changed. This tastes like, he thought. Everything. Yubin nodded proudly. Exactly. That's not a compliment. It is to me. Jiwon took the spoon. He tasted it, then slowly put the spoon down. We're ordering delivery. Yubin looked betrayed. But I worked hard. You did. Then eat it. Jiwon looked at the soup. I'll order extra rice. Course 2, the main dish. Minwoo took control. Move. Everyone stepped aside. He began preparing pasta. The kitchen became quiet. Minwoo worked quickly. Garlic, butter, sauce, pasta, seasoning. Yubin watched. You're really good at this. Minwoo nodded. I know. Seojun whispered to Jiwon. He's getting worse. Jiwon nodded. His ego is growing. Minwoo heard them. I can still hear you. The pasta was finished. Everyone took a bite. Silence. Seojun's eyes widened. This is actually amazing. Taehyun nodded. Very good. Yubin smiled. Can I have more? Minwoo pushed the plate toward them. Eat. Jiwon smiled. See. This is what dinner should be. Course 3, dessert. Taehyun took over. I'll make dessert. Jiwon looked relieved. Finally, something safe. Taehyun smiled. He prepared a beautiful fruit parfait. Layer after layer. Cream, fruit, chocolate. Everything was perfectly arranged. Seojun watched him. Can I help? No. Why? Because you'll eat the ingredients. I won't. Taehyun looked at him. Seojun immediately ate a strawberry. That was one. Out. Seojun left the kitchen. The parfait was finished. Taehyun placed 5 glasses on the table. Everyone stared. They looked like something from an expensive cafe. Jiwon smiled. Beautiful. Taehyun nodded. Thank you. Yubin took a bite. Wow. Minwoo nodded. Excellent. Seojun grabbed his spoon. This is my favorite. Taehyun smiled. Good. Seojun took another bite. Then another. Then another. Taehyun frowned. You're eating too quickly. Seojun looked at his empty glass. I finished. Already. Yes. You've eaten the entire thing. Yes. Taehyun sighed. Do you want mine? Seojun's eyes widened. Really? Taehyun pushed it toward him. Yes. Seojun smiled. You're the best. Jiwon stared. Taehyun, you just created a monster. Taehyun looked at Seojun. I know. Course 4, the disaster. Yubin looked at the kitchen. We still need one more dish. Jiwon immediately said. No. Yubin smiled. Yes. No. One more. We already have enough food. Just one. Yubin pulled out a bag. Jiwon stared. What is that? Spices. Minwoo looked concerned. How many? Yubin smiled. All of them. Everyone shouted. No. Too late. Yubin poured something into a pan. The smell immediately filled the kitchen. Seojun coughed. What did you put in? There. Yubin looked at the packet. Cinnamon. Taehyun blinked. Why? I thought it was pepper. Minwoo looked at the packet. It's clearly labeled cinnamon. Yubin stared at it. The letters were small. Jiwon rubbed his forehead. That's it. Yubin laughed nervously. Maybe we can fix it. No. We can. No. We need to try. Jiwon looked at the others. Nobody disagreed. They were already committed. 7:15 p.m., the cooking war. What started as dinner preparation became a full kitchen battle. Jiwon chopped. Minwoo cooked. Taehyun organized ingredients. Yubin mixed sauces. Seojun carried plates. For 5 minutes, everything worked. Then Seojun dropped a spoon. Yubin spilled sauce. Jiwon opened the wrong cabinet. Minwoo accidentally knocked over a bowl. Taehyun caught it. Got it. Seojun cheered. Nice. Then Taehyun slipped. Jiwon grabbed him. Everyone froze. Taehyun looked down. A tiny puddle of water was on the floor. Seojun pointed. Who's cleaning that? Everyone looked at Yubin. Why me? You made it. That's not how teamwork works. Jiwon laughed. You're right. Then the timer on the oven beeped. Everyone jumped. Food. They rushed toward the oven. 8 p.m., dinner. The dining table was full. Pasta, parfait, rice, soup, vegetables, and one mysterious dish that nobody trusted. The 5 members sat together. Jiwon raised his spoon. Okay. Everyone looked at him. Let's eat. They tried the food. The pasta was excellent. The dessert was perfect. The vegetables were good. The soup was interesting. And the mystery dish. Nobody touched it. Seojun looked at it. What is that? Yubin answered. I don't know. Jiwon stared. You cooked it. I know. And you don't know what it is. No. Minwoo slowly moved the dish away. We'll save that for tomorrow. Taehyun nodded. Or never. Yubin laughed. After dinner, they cleaned the kitchen together. For once, nobody complained. Seojun washed dishes. Yubin dried them. Taehyun organized everything. Minwoo wiped the counters. Jiwon took out the trash. When they finished, the kitchen was spotless. Seojun looked around. We actually did it. Jiwon smiled. Teamwork. Yubin nodded. 5 people. Minwoo added. 1 kitchen. Taehyun smiled. And 0 fires. Everyone looked at him. Jiwon pointed. That's a very low standard. Taehyun shrugged. But important. They laughed. Later that night, the members sat on the sofa after dinner. Seojun was eating leftover parfait. Yubin was scrolling through fan comments. Taehyun was drinking tea. Minwoo was editing music. Jiwon was checking tomorrow's schedule. Then Yubin suddenly laughed. Guys. What? Look at this. He showed them his phone. A fan had posted. PRISM should have a cooking show. Seojun immediately nodded. Yes. Jiwon shook his head. No. Another comment appeared. Minwoo should be the chef. Minwoo smiled. Correct. Another. Taehyun should make desserts. Taehyun nodded. I approve. Then, Jiwon should supervise everyone. Jiwon sighed. Obviously. Seojun read the final comment aloud. Yubin and Seojun should not be allowed near the kitchen. The room became silent. Yubin looked at Seojun. Seojun looked at Yubin. Then they both laughed. That's unfair. Jiwon pointed toward the kitchen. You put cinnamon in dinner. Yubin defended himself. It was an accident. Seojun nodded. Exactly. You ate half the ingredients. I was taste testing. You ate 6 strawberries. Quality control. Minwoo shook his head. You two are impossible. Just before they went to bed, Jiwon noticed something on the refrigerator. A small note had been stuck there. It read, Gerald approves of today's dinner. Jiwon stared at it. He slowly turned toward Taehyun. Did you write this? Taehyun smiled. Yes. Jiwon laughed. Of course you did. Seojun walked over. Gerald liked the food. Taehyun nodded. Very much. Minwoo shook his head. How does a refrigerator approve of food? Taehyun answered seriously. He kept everything cold. Jiwon laughed. That's his job. Exactly. Yubin smiled. Good night, Gerald. Seojun waved. Good night. Minwoo sighed. Good night, refrigerator. Jiwon looked at all 4 members. Why am I the only normal one here? Everyone stared at him. Then Seojun smiled. Hung. What? You're PRISM's leader. Jiwon narrowed his eyes. And, Yubin grinned. You're one of us. Jiwon stared at them. Then laughed. Fine. He turned off the kitchen light. Good night, idiots. Good night. The dorm became quiet. The comeback continued. The schedules kept piling up. And somehow, PRISM's ordinary evening had turned into another ridiculous memory. 5 idols. 1 kitchen. 1 mysterious dish. And 1 refrigerator named Gerald. Chapter 16, The Day PRISM Went Shopping. The next morning, PRISM received an unexpected announcement. Their manager walked into the dorm. You're going shopping. The 5 members stared at him. Seojun slowly raised his hand. Shopping for what? Clothes. Everyone relaxed. Then Mr. Han continued. For your next stage. Everyone froze again. Jiwon looked at the schedule. Why can't the stylists choose? They want your input. Taehyun nodded. That sounds reasonable. Minwoo agreed. Yes. Yubin smiled. Seojun jumped up. Shopping. Jiwon immediately regretted everything. 10 a.m., the fashion district. PRISM arrived at a large shopping district with their manager and 2 staff members. They were wearing masks, caps, and casual clothes. Seojun looked around. This is dangerous. Jiwon laughed. Why? Because there are too many things I want. Minwoo sighed. That's exactly why. Their stylist had given them 1 instruction. Choose 1 outfit each. 1. Not 5. Not 10. 1. Seojun looked at the stores. This is impossible. First stop, Seojun. Seojun immediately found a bright jacket. This. Jiwon looked at it. No. Why? It's covered in glitter. Exactly. We're performing a serious song. People need sparkle. Taehyun examined the jacket. It is interesting. Minwoo nodded. It would catch the stage lights. Jiwon stared at them. Stop encouraging him. Seojun tried it on. He turned toward the others. Well, Yubin smiled. You look like a disco ball. Seojun grinned. I love it. Jiwon sighed. Fine. Second stop, Taehyun. Taehyun chose a simple black jacket. Jiwon nodded. Good. Minwoo examined the fabric. Nice. Yubin nodded. Very you. Seojun looked at it. It's boring. Taehyun glanced at him. It's elegant. It's black. Yes. Your entire wardrobe is black. Taehyun looked down at his outfit. Black shirt. Black pants. Black jacket. Black shoes. He paused. That's true. Seojun laughed. You're allergic to color. Taehyun picked up a purple scarf. What about this? Everyone stared. Jiwon smiled. Now we're talking. Taehyun wrapped it around his neck. Seojun nodded. Okay. That actually looks good. Taehyun smiled. I'll take it. Third stop, Minwoo. Minwoo found a dark gray jacket. He tried it on. Everyone nodded. Perfect. Minwoo looked at himself in the mirror. I like it. Seojun frowned. That's too easy. What? You chose something in 30 seconds. Minwoo shrugged. I know what I like. Seojun looked around. I've been here 40 minutes. That's your problem. Fourth stop, Yubin. Yubin found a stylish purple and black jacket. He tried it on. Taehyun nodded. That suits you. Minwoo smiled. Very good. Jiwon agreed. Perfect. Seojun looked at him. You look expensive. Yubin laughed. Is that good? Very. Then Seojun noticed a matching accessory. Wait. He grabbed a pair of sunglasses. Put these on. Yubin did. Everyone stared. Seojun grinned. Now you look like a villain. Yubin smiled. Perfect. Fifth stop, Jiwon. Jiwon had been helping everyone else. He hadn't chosen anything. Seojun noticed. Your turn. I'm fine. No, I'm the leader. Exactly. Yubin dragged him toward the racks. Choose something. Jiwon looked through the clothes. He found a white and black stage jacket with subtle silver details. He tried it on. The others went quiet. Seojun pointed. That's it. Taehyun nodded. Definitely. Minwoo smiled. Looks good. Yubin grinned. Very leader. Jiwon looked in the mirror. He smiled. Okay. The problem. They were supposed to leave after choosing their outfits. But Seojun spotted something. A huge arcade. His eyes widened. No. Jiwon already knew that tone. Don't. There's an arcade. We're leaving. 5 minutes. No. 3. No. 1. Seojun. Yubin suddenly appeared beside him. I want to go. Jiwon looked at Yubin. You too. Yes. Taehyun nodded. I haven't played arcade games in a long time. Minwoo sighed. Fine. Jiwon stared at all four. You're all traitors. The arcade. The first game was a racing game. Seojun immediately chose the fastest looking car. Yubin sat beside him. Jiwon sat behind them. Taehyun and Minwoo took the other machine. The race began. Seojun was terrible. He crashed into everything. Walls. Other cars. The barriers. At one point, he somehow drove backward. Jiwon stared at the screen. How? Seojun shouted. I'm learning. Yubin was laughing so hard he could barely drive. Taehyun passed them. Minwoo passed them. Then the race ended. First, Minwoo. Second, Taehyun. Third, Yubin. Fourth, Seojun. Seojun stared at the results. Rematch. Minwoo smiled. No. Why? I want to preserve my victory. The rhythm game. Their next challenge was a rhythm game. Seojun immediately became confident. This one is mine. Jiwon raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? I dance for a living. The game started. Seojun hit every note. Perfect. 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 The crowd around the machine began watching. Seojun grinned. This is easy. Then the difficulty increased. His hands moved faster. 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 The game became ridiculous. Seojun somehow kept up. The final note appeared. He hit it. Perfect. The screen displayed. New high score. Everyone cheered. Seojun jumped. Yes. Yubin hugged him. You did it. Taehyun applauded. Minwoo nodded. Impressive. Jiwon smiled. That's our main dancer. Seojun grinned. I told you. Then a nearby teenager recognized him. Wait. Seojun froze. The teenager's eyes widened. PRISM. A few people turned. Jiwon immediately smiled politely. Hello. The teenager looked thrilled. You're really PRISM. Seojun laughed. Yeah. Soon, a small crowd gathered. The members took a few quick photos and signed some items. Nobody pushed. Nobody caused trouble. After a few minutes, they thanked everyone and left. Seojun looked at the others. That was unexpected. Jiwon smiled. But nice. Yubin nodded. Yeah, the claw machine. Before leaving, Yubin stopped. Wait, he pointed. Inside a claw machine was a small purple stuffed animal. It looks like PRISM. Seojun laughed. It does. Yubin inserted a coin. The claw moved, dropped, missed, again, missed, again, missed. Taehyun watched. You're getting worse. I can do it. Minwoo shook his head. That's what people say before spending 20 coins. Yubin inserted another. The claw grabbed the toy. Everyone leaned closer. It lifted, moved, then dropped it. Yubin stared. I hate this machine. Seojun laughed. Give me. Yubin stepped aside. Seojun tried. Missed. Jiwon tried. Missed. Taehyun tried. Missed. Minwoo tried. Missed. All five stared at the machine. Jiwon sighed. We're idols. Minwoo nodded. Yes, we can perform in front of thousands. Yes, we can learn complicated choreography. Yes, and we can't win a stuffed animal. Correct. Yubin inserted another coin. One more. Everyone groaned. The final attempt. Yubin carefully positioned the claw. He moved it slightly left. Then right. Then forward. Now. He pressed the button. The claw dropped. Grabbed the stuffed animal. Lifted it. Moved toward the prize chute. Dropped. Thump. The toy fell. Everyone screamed. Yes. Yubin grabbed it. He held it up proudly. We won. Seojun jumped. We did it. Taehyun smiled. Minwoo laughed. Jiwon shook his head. That cost us 12 tries. Still worth it. Yubin hugged the toy. What should we name it? Everyone looked at him. Taehyun answered immediately. Gerald. Jiwon groaned. No. Seojun laughed. Gerald Jr. Absolutely not. Minwoo smiled. Maybe Gerald Jr. Jr. Yubin grinned. Perfect. Jiwon walked away. I'm surrounded by idiots. Back at the dorm. That evening, the members returned with their new stage clothes. The staff had also sent them the final styling plan. They laid everything out. Jiwon looked at the outfits. These actually work together. Taehyun nodded. The colors match without being identical. Minwoo smiled. It's going to look good on stage. Seojun held up his glittering jacket. And I will shine. Jiwon laughed. Literally. Yubin placed their new stuffed animal on the sofa. Gerald Jr. Jr. is staying here. Taehyun looked at it. I approve. Jiwon stared. Why does everything become Gerald? Taehyun shrugged. Gerald has influence. Seojun nodded. He's basically a celebrity. Minwoo laughed. He's a refrigerator. Yubin corrected him. And a brand. Everyone laughed. Later that night, Jiwon stood by the window. The city lights reflected against the glass. He looked at the stage outfits hanging nearby. Tomorrow they'd rehearse again. Then another music show. Another interview. Another performance. Another day of being PRISM. He smiled. The group had come a long way. They weren't just trainees anymore. They weren't new idols anymore. People recognized them. People waited for their performances. People knew their personalities. They had fans who cared about their music, and apparently, fans who cared deeply about their refrigerator. Jiwon laughed quietly. Gerald. Behind him, Taehyun answered. Yes. Jiwon turned. I wasn't talking to you. Oh. Taehyun returned to his room. Jiwon smiled. PRISM was getting bigger. Their world was getting busier. But somehow, even with everything changing, the five of them were still the same. Still laughing. Still teasing each other. Still fighting over snacks. Still sharing ridiculous memories. And still terrible at being normal. Chapter 17, The Stage Outfit Disaster. The morning after their shopping trip, PRISM arrived at the agency with their new stage outfits. Everyone was excited. Everyone except Jiwon. He was staring at the garment bags. Why do I feel like something is going to go wrong? Seojun smiled. Because you're always suspicious. I'm realistic. Yubin opened his garment bag. My outfit is perfect. Taehyun checked his. So is mine. Minwoo nodded. Mine too. Jiwon relaxed. See, everything's fine. Then Seojun opened his bag. He froze. Hung. What? My jacket is gone. Everyone turned. What? Seojun pulled out a completely different jacket. It was bright purple, covered in sequins, and had enormous silver stars on the shoulders. Silence. Jiwon stared. That's not your jacket. Seojun looked at it. I know. Taehyun examined the tag. It belongs to another performer. Minwoo checked the garment bags. Someone switched them. Yubin laughed. Seojun, you wanted sparkle. Seojun slowly smiled. I may have gotten what I wanted. Jiwon immediately shook his head. No. 9:30 a.m., the search. The staff began searching for Seojun's missing outfit. The stylist looked horrified. I'm sorry. The bags were delivered together. Jiwon smiled politely. It's okay. Seojun was still wearing the giant purple jacket. The stylist looked at him. Actually, everyone waited. It doesn't look terrible. Jiwon turned. Don't encourage him. Seojun looked into the mirror. He struck a pose. Maybe this is fate. Minwoo nodded. You do look like a disco prince. Seojun grinned. I'll take that. Taehyun laughed. You're enjoying this. Absolutely. Then the stylist returned. We found it. Everyone cheered. Seojun removed the purple jacket. His actual outfit was finally revealed. A sleek black stage jacket with subtle purple details. Seojun stared. This is better. Jiwon smiled. Much better. Seojun put it on. He looked into the mirror. Then turned around. Okay. Yubin nodded. That's the one. Minwoo smiled. Perfect for Flashpoint. Taehyun adjusted Seojun's collar. Now you look like an idol. Seojun gasped. I wasn't an idol before. Jiwon laughed. Not in that jacket. The full dress rehearsal. The members changed into their complete stage outfits. Jiwon wore the white and black jacket with silver detailing. Seojun wore black with purple accents. Taehyun had his black outfit with the purple scarf. Minwoo wore dark gray. Yubin wore the purple and black jacket. Together, they looked completely different from their casual selves. The stylist smiled. Perfect. Jiwon looked at the others. We look good. Seojun grinned. Very good. Yubin turned toward the mirror. I feel like we're about to fight someone. Taehyun nodded. That's the concept. Minwoo adjusted his headphones. We're performing in 20 minutes. Everyone nodded. They headed toward the stage. The problem. The music started. PRISM moved through the first verse perfectly. The first chorus. Perfect. The second verse. Perfect. Then came the dance break. Jiwon stepped forward. Seojun moved behind him. Taehyun turned. Minwoo and Yubin changed formation. Then, rip. Seojun froze. The music continued. Jiwon noticed. Seojun. Seojun tried to move. Another tiny tearing sound. He looked down. A seam on his jacket had opened. Oh no. He continued dancing. The choreographer stopped the music. Cut. Everyone looked at Seojun. He raised his hands. I didn't do anything. Jiwon laughed. Your jacket did. The stylist rushed over. Don't move. Seojun froze. The stylist inspected the jacket. Small tear. Can you fix it? Yes. How long? 10 minutes. Seojun looked horrified. Our rehearsal is in 10 minutes. The stylist nodded. Then don't dance. Seojun stared. That's difficult. 5 minutes later. The stylist was sewing the jacket. Seojun sat completely still. The other members watched. Yubin smiled. You look uncomfortable. I am. Taehyun offered him water. Drink. Seojun took it. Thanks. Minwoo checked the schedule. We have 3 minutes. Jiwon looked at Seojun. Can you perform? Seojun nodded. Of course. Even with the repaired jacket. Yes. Jiwon smiled. Good. The performance. They went back on stage. The lights dimmed. The opening beat started. PRISM moved. This time, Seojun was careful. Every movement was sharp. Every step was controlled. The jacket held. The dance break arrived. Seojun jumped, turned, landed. The jacket survived. The members completed the choreography. The music ended. Silence. Then the staff applauded. The choreographer smiled. Good. Seojun looked down at his jacket. It's alive. Everyone laughed. The unexpected upgrade. After rehearsal, their stylist approached them. I have an idea. She held up 5 small accessories. Purple diamond-shaped pins. Your outfits are coordinated, but these will make the group look even more connected. She attached one to each member. Jiwon looked at the others. 5 matching symbols. Nice. Taehyun smiled. Simple. Minwoo nodded. Good detail. Yubin looked pleased. Seojun pointed at his. Mine is crooked. Jiwon laughed. Don't touch it. It's bothering me. Leave it. Seojun adjusted it. Jiwon sighed. Seojun. What? Stop. Okay. 2 seconds later, he adjusted it again. Seojun. Fine. The photos. Before leaving, the company photographer asked for a few promotional photos. 5 members together. They took their positions. This time, they didn't stand stiffly. Jiwon stood in the center with one hand in his pocket. Seojun leaned forward with a playful grin. Taehyun stood slightly behind him, calm and elegant. Minwoo crossed his arms. Yoobin tilted his head with a confident smile. The camera flashed. Click. Another pose. Seojun pointed toward the camera. Taehyun adjusted his scarf. Minwoo looked away. Yoobin gave a small smile. Jiwon laughed. Click. The photographer lowered the camera. That's it. The members looked at the photos. They looked like a real idol group. Confident, stylish, different from one another, yet obviously connected. Seojun smiled. We actually look cool. Jiwon nodded. We do. Yoobin smiled. Should we post one? The manager shook his head. Not yet. Why? Teaser schedule. Seojun groaned. Everything has a schedule. Minwoo laughed. Welcome to idol life. That evening, the agency released the new promotional photo. Within minutes, comments flooded in. The styling. PRISM looks amazing. Taehyun with the purple scarf. Jiwon's outfit. Yoobin looks so good. Minwoo's expression loudly crying. Then someone noticed Seojun's jacket. Why does Seojun look like he's about to attend a royal ball? Seojun read the comment. Royal ball. Yoobin laughed. Disco prince. Seojun smiled. I accept both. Jiwon shook his head. Then another comment appeared. PRISM's styling is always so different, but they still look like one group. Jiwon paused. He looked at the 5 matching purple pins. That was exactly what they wanted. Different personalities, different styles, different strengths, but together, unmistakably PRISM. Back at the dorm, Seojun walked into the living room still wearing his stage jacket. Yoobin looked at him. You're not taking that off. No. Why? I feel powerful. Taehyun walked past. You'll sleep in it. Maybe. Minwoo laughed. Don't. Jiwon pointed toward the closet. Hang it up. Seojun sighed. Fine. He carefully hung the jacket. Then looked at it. Good night. Jiwon stared. Did you just say good night to your jacket? Seojun nodded. Yes. Taehyun smiled. Understandable. Minwoo shook his head. You people are impossible. Yoobin laughed. Then Taehyun walked toward the kitchen. He opened the refrigerator. Good night, Gerald. Jiwon immediately shouted from the living room. Why does everyone say goodnight to objects? Silence. Then Seojun shouted back. Because they're family. The dorm erupted in laughter. Jiwon covered his face. He had officially given up. The next morning would be another music show performance. Another stage. Another chance to prove themselves. But this time, PRISM had something new. A new song, new outfits, a new stage, and a growing fanbase waiting for them. Their comeback was reaching its peak. And the biggest stage of the week was only one day away. Chapter 18, The Stage That Went Wrong. The day of PRISM's biggest music show stage finally arrived. And somehow, everything went wrong before they even reached the stage. 5 a.m., the beginning of the disaster. Jiwon woke up to someone knocking on his door. Jiwon. No response. Jiwon. Still nothing. The door opened. Seojun stood there. Wake up. Jiwon slowly opened one eye. What time is it? 5. Why? Schedule. Jiwon stared at him. We have to leave in 30 minutes. Seojun nodded. Exactly. Jiwon sat up. Why are you already awake? I couldn't sleep. Why? I'm excited. Jiwon sighed. Of course. Then Seojun pointed toward the hallway. Also. What? Taehyun is talking to Gerald. Jiwon closed his eyes. Don't tell me. I think he's giving him a pep talk. In the kitchen, Taehyun stood in front of the refrigerator. Gerald. The refrigerator hummed quietly. Today is important. Jiwon walked in. He stopped. Taehyun continued. Please keep everyone calm. Jiwon stared. Taehyun. Taehyun turned. Yes. Why are you talking to the refrigerator? He's listening. Seojun appeared behind Jiwon. See. I told you. Jiwon rubbed his forehead. We need to leave. Taehyun nodded. Gerald understands. Of course he does. 6:30 a.m., the venue. The backstage area was already crowded. PRISM's name was displayed on the schedule board. PRISM, Flashpoint. Special comeback stage. The members stared at it. Yubin smiled. This is bigger than our last stage. Minwoo nodded. Much bigger. Taehyun adjusted his purple scarf. Seojun checked his repaired jacket. Still alive. Jiwon laughed. Good. Then their stylist entered. Everyone, change into your stage outfits. The 5 members disappeared into the dressing room. A few minutes later, they came out. The room went quiet. The outfits looked incredible. Black, silver, purple. 5 different styles. One unified concept. The stylist smiled. Perfect. Seojun looked at himself in the mirror. No wardrobe disasters today. Jiwon immediately said. Don't say that. Why? You're tempting fate. Seojun laughed. Nothing's going to happen. At that exact moment, rip. Everyone froze. Seojun slowly looked down. A tiny thread had come loose from his sleeve. I didn't do it. Jiwon stared. You said it. I know. 8 a.m., sound check. The members walked onto the stage. The venue was enormous. The audience area stretched far into the distance. Huge screens surrounded them. The lighting rig was massive. Even during sound check, the stage looked impressive. Jiwon looked around. Wow. Minwoo nodded. This is the biggest stage we've had. Taehyun smiled. Let's make it memorable. Seojun grinned. Definitely. The music started. They moved through the choreography. Everything was perfect. Until the second chorus. The lights suddenly went dark. The music stopped. The members froze. A staff member rushed onto the stage. Sorry. Technical issue. Jiwon laughed. No problem. They restarted. Everything worked. They finished the rehearsal. The stage manager smiled. Excellent. Jiwon nodded. Thank you. As they walked backstage, Seojun whispered. That was scary. Minwoo nodded. At least it happened during rehearsal. Jiwon smiled. Exactly. 11 a.m., the surprise. Mr. Han suddenly walked into their waiting room. I have good news. Seojun smiled. Food. No. His smile disappeared. What kind of good news isn't food? Mr. Han ignored him. The producers want PRISM to do a special ending pose with the other performers. Yubin smiled. That sounds fun. Taehyun nodded. What kind? Mr. Han showed them a photo. The ending pose required the members to gather in the center and form a large group heart with their hands. Seojun immediately practiced. Like this. Jiwon corrected him. Your hand is backward. Seojun looked at it. Oh. Yubin laughed. You're terrible at hearts. I am not. Minwoo quietly said. You made a triangle. It's an artistic heart. 1:30 p.m., waiting. The performance wasn't until later. The members ate lunch, then rested, then rehearsed, then rested again. Seojun paced around the room. Jiwon watched him. Sit down. I'm nervous. You've performed before. Not like this. Jiwon understood. This stage was different. There were more cameras, more fans, more expectations. Their comeback had become a huge success. People expected PRISM to deliver. Jiwon stood. Come here. Seojun looked at him. What? Jiwon placed a hand on his shoulder. Don't think about the numbers. Seojun listened. Don't think about the views. He looked at the others. Don't think about what people expect. Jiwon smiled. Just perform with us. Seojun smiled back. Okay. Yubin nodded. That's easy. Minwoo smiled. That's what we do. Taehyun adjusted his scarf. Together. 3:20 p.m., showtime. PRISM stood backstage. The audience was loud. Their names echoed through the building. PRISM, PRISM, PRISM. Seojun bounced on his feet. Taehyun took a deep breath. Minwoo checked his in-ear. Yubin closed his eyes for a moment. Jiwon looked at all 4. Ready. 5 nods. Let's go. Flashpoint. The lights went dark. The opening beat began. The screen behind them displayed a giant PRISM symbol. Jiwon stepped forward. The audience screamed. The first verse started. Everything was perfect. Seojun's dance break. Perfect. Taehyun's center moment. Perfect. Minwoo's rap. Perfect. Yubin's killing part. Perfect. Then came the final chorus. The lights flashed. The music grew louder. The 5 members moved into their final formation. Then, pop. A confetti cannon fired early. Right beside Seojun. He jumped. The audience screamed. Seojun kept dancing. Jiwon almost laughed. Then another cannon fired. This one worked correctly. Purple confetti filled the stage. The members continued performing. Seojun's eyes widened. He couldn't see, but he kept moving. Yubin grabbed his arm and guided him into formation. Seojun immediately recovered. The final beat hit. They froze. The audience exploded. The ending pose. The music show hosts and other performers came onto the stage. PRISM moved into position. The special ending pose began. Jiwon raised his hand. Seojun raised his. Taehyun, Minwoo, Yubin. They formed the giant heart. Except, Seojun's hand slipped. His heart became a triangle again. Yubin noticed. He started laughing. Jiwon saw him. Then Minwoo. Then Taehyun. Within seconds, all five were struggling not to laugh on live television. The cameras zoomed in. The audience screamed. The hosts laughed. Seojun whispered, "Stop laughing." That made everyone laugh harder. The ending pose completely fell apart. But instead of looking awkward, it looked adorable. And the cameras caught everything. Backstage, the moment they left the stage, Seojun collapsed against the wall. "I ruined the heart." Yubin was still laughing. "It was beautiful. It was a triangle." Taehyun smiled. "An artistic triangle." Minwoo nodded. "Very modern." Jiwon laughed. At least everyone was smiling. Mr. Han walked over. He was also smiling. "You know what? What? That might be your most memorable ending yet." Seojun stared. "Really? Really?" 1 hour later, the official clips started appearing online. PRISM's confetti cannon fail. Seojun's triangle heart. PRISM can't stop laughing on live TV. Yubin saves Seojun during Flashpoint. The members watched the clips in their waiting room. Seojun covered his face. "I can't believe this." Jiwon laughed. "It's funny. I look ridiculous." Yubin shook his head. "You look cute." Seojun looked at him. "Don't call me cute. Okay. Call me handsome." Yubin laughed. "Fine. Handsome." Seojun smiled. "Thank you." Minwoo checked another post. "There's already a meme." "Already?" Minwoo turned the phone around. Someone had edited Seojun's triangle hand gesture into a giant traffic sign. "PRISM, please turn here." Everyone burst out laughing. Seojun stared. "That's actually funny." Jiwon smiled. "See." Seojun nodded. "Okay." He looked at the screen. All except it. That night, PRISM returned to the dorm. Everyone was exhausted. Seojun removed his stage jacket. Taehyun carefully hung his scarf. Minwoo put his headphones away. Yubin placed Gerald Jr. on the sofa. Jiwon sat down. His phone buzzed. He checked the notification. Flashpoint has reached #1 on the daily music chart. Jiwon froze. "Guys." Everyone looked over. "What?" He showed them the screen. Silence. Seojun's eyes widened. "We're #1. Minwoo checked. "Yes." Taehyun smiled. Yubin covered his mouth. Jiwon looked at the four members. Their first #1 comeback. After everything. The long practices. The filming. The fan signs. The music shows. The reality shows. The wardrobe disaster. The confetti cannon. The terrible heart. All of it. They had made it. Seojun suddenly jumped onto the sofa. "We're #1. Yubin screamed. Taehyun laughed. Minwoo smiled. Jiwon finally let himself celebrate. They hugged. All five of them. No cameras. No staff. No stage. Just PRISM. Five friends celebrating their biggest achievement yet. Then Seojun raised his fist. "We need to celebrate." Jiwon smiled. "Yes. Chicken." Jiwon sighed. "Chicken." Everyone cheered. Yubin grabbed Gerald Jr. Taehyun waved toward the refrigerator. "Gerald, we're celebrating." Jiwon laughed. "Of course we are." PRISM had reached #1. And somehow, they were still terrible at being normal. Chapter 19, #1, Now What? The morning after PRISM reached #1 on the daily music chart, the dorm was unusually quiet. No screaming, no running, no arguments, no one asking for food. Jiwon slowly opened his bedroom door. Everyone. Nothing. He walked into the living room. The other four members were asleep everywhere. Seojun was sprawled across the sofa, still hugging Gerald Jr. Yubin was curled up underneath a blanket. Minwoo was asleep with his laptop beside him. Taehyun was sitting upright in the armchair. Jiwon stared. "How did you all fall asleep like this?" Seojun opened one eye. "We're #1. Yes, we can sleep." Jiwon laughed. "Fair enough." 8 a.m. Their peaceful morning lasted exactly 20 minutes. Then Mr. Han arrived. Wake up. 5 heads appeared. Seojun groaned. No, we have schedules. We're number 1. Exactly. Shouldn't number 1 get a holiday? No. Seojun fell back onto the sofa. Capitalism is cruel. Jiwon laughed. Get dressed. 9:30 a.m., the interview. Their first schedule was a live interview. The 5 members sat together in a studio. The host smiled. Congratulations, PRISM. Thank you. The audience applauded. The host looked at them. How does it feel to reach number 1? Jiwon smiled. It's still hard to believe. Seojun nodded. We've dreamed about this for a long time. Taehyun smiled. We're grateful. Minwoo added. We couldn't have done it without our fans. Yubin nodded. The host smiled. You all seem very calm. The camera immediately showed Seojun. He was bouncing his leg. The audience laughed. The host pointed. Except Seojun. Seojun froze. I'm calm. Jiwon laughed. He's been like that since we woke up. The question everyone wanted answered. The host pulled up a photo. It showed the infamous ending pose from their last music show. 5 members trying to make a heart. Except Seojun's hands had somehow created a triangle. The audience burst into laughter. Seojun covered his face. Please. The host laughed. Can you explain this? Seojun sighed. My hand slipped. Yubin immediately added. He panicked. I did not. You absolutely did. Taehyun smiled. It was a unique shape. Minwoo nodded. Very modern. Jiwon laughed. We're calling it the PRISM heart. Seojun looked at him. Why? Because nobody knows what shape it is. The audience laughed even harder. Seojun finally laughed too. Fine. He turned toward the camera. Everyone, please support the PRISM heart. He formed the same triangle with his hands. The audience screamed. The next question. The host smiled. Now that you've reached number 1, what's next? The members looked at each other. Jiwon answered. We want to perform more. Minwoo nodded. We want people to hear the rest of the album. Taehyun added. And meet more fans. Yubin smiled. And make more memories. Seojun raised his hand. And eat. Everyone laughed. The host smiled. Of course. Seojun nodded seriously. Very important. 11 a.m., a surprise. After the interview, PRISM returned to their waiting room. There was a large box sitting in the middle. Jiwon stared at it. What is that, Mr. Han smiled. A gift. Seojun immediately walked toward it. From who? The company. He opened it. Inside was a large framed plaque. PRISM, number 1, Flashpoint. The members became quiet. Seojun slowly touched the frame. Wow. Taehyun smiled. That's beautiful. Minwoo nodded. Yubin looked at Jiwon. We should put it in the dorm. Jiwon smiled. Definitely. Then Seojun found another box. There's more. He opened it. Inside were 5 smaller gifts. Personalized microphones. Each one had their name engraved on it. Seojun's eyes widened. These are ours, Mr. Han nodded. Your first official custom microphones. Minwoo immediately picked his up. This is amazing. Taehyun examined the engraving. Yubin smiled. Jiwon looked at his. His name was engraved neatly along the side. He smiled. We'll use these for our next stage. Mr. Han nodded. You earned them. 2 p.m., the next stage. PRISM arrived at another music show venue. This time, they weren't nervous. They were excited. Their custom microphones were ready. Their outfits were prepared. Their fans were waiting. And their song was still at number 1. The 5 members stood backstage. Seojun held his microphone. Guys. Everyone looked at him. Look. He held it up. Our names are on them. Yubin smiled. Cool. Taehyun nodded. Very cool. Minwoo smiled. Jiwon looked at all 4. Let's use them well. Flashpoint. The stage lights went dark. The audience screamed. The opening beat began. Jiwon stepped forward. His new microphone caught the light. The audience recognized it immediately. Then the rest of the members appeared. 5 microphones. 5 voices. 5 members. The performance felt different. Not because the choreography had changed. Not because the song had changed. But because PRISM had changed. They weren't trying to prove they belonged anymore. They knew they did. They performed with confidence. They smiled more. They played with the camera. Seojun even added a tiny dance move at the end. Yubin copied him. Taehyun noticed and joined. Minwoo shook his head but eventually smiled. Jiwon laughed during the final pose. The audience went wild. After the performance, backstage, the members watched the replay. Seojun pointed at the screen. Look, Yoobin laughed. We all did the same move. Taehyun smiled. That wasn't planned. Minwoo nodded. But it worked. Jiwon laughed. That's becoming our thing. Seojun grinned. Unplanned choreography. Yoobin nodded. PRISM's specialty. 6 p.m., the announcement. Their manager entered the waiting room. I have another announcement. Everyone groaned. What now, Mr. Han smiled. PRISM will be performing at the upcoming PRISM Night special stage. Seojun blinked. PRISM Night. It's a special concert stage featuring your comeback. Yoobin's eyes widened. An actual concert. Yes. Taehyun smiled. That's amazing. Minwoo nodded. How many songs, Mr. Han looked at the schedule. 6. Everyone froze. Seojun slowly sat down. 6. Yes. Jiwon laughed. That's a lot. And you'll have individual stages. Silence. Seojun's eyes widened. Individual. Mr. Han nodded. You'll each perform a solo stage. The members looked at one another. Jiwon smiled. This is getting serious. Later that night, back at the dorm, the 5 members sat around the table. The concert schedule was in the middle. PRISM Night. Opening stage. Flashpoint. Group performance. Solo stage. Jiwon. Solo stage. Seojun. Solo stage. Taehyun. Solo stage. Minwoo. Solo stage. Yoobin. Finale. Seojun stared at the page. I've never done a solo stage. Yoobin nodded. Me neither. Taehyun looked thoughtful. It's exciting. Minwoo was already thinking. I have ideas. Jiwon smiled. Of course you do. Everyone laughed. Then Jiwon looked around the table. This is our first concert where we're not just rookies anymore. Taehyun nodded. We're growing. Yoobin smiled. Together. Seojun leaned back. Then we have to make it unforgettable. Jiwon smiled. We will. 11 p.m. Everyone had gone to bed. Except Minwoo. He sat in the studio corner of the dorm, headphones on. A blank music project was open on his laptop. He started playing a melody. Something soft. Something different from Flashpoint. Something personal. He stopped. Then smiled. I think I know what I'll do. In another room, Taehyun was looking through old photos. He found one from their trainee days. 5 boys standing awkwardly in a tiny practice room. He smiled. Maybe. He opened a notebook. Seojun was lying on his bed. He stared at the ceiling. Solo stage. He suddenly sat up. I know. He grabbed his phone. Then immediately sent a message to the group chat. Seojun, I have an idea. Jiwon replied instantly. Jiwon, it's 11:32 p.m. Seojun, important. Yoobin, what? Seojun, I want fire. Minwoo, number. Seojun, you didn't even hear the idea. Minwoo, still no. Taehyun, what kind of fire? Jiwon, don't encourage him. Seojun laughed. Yoobin was the last one awake. He looked at Gerald Jr. Jr. sitting beside his bed. Everyone's getting ready for their solo stages. He smiled. What should I do? The plush toy obviously didn't answer. Yoobin nodded anyway. Good idea. The next chapter of PRISM's career had begun. Their first #1 hit had opened a new door. And behind that door waited something none of them had ever experienced before. Their biggest stage yet. A stage where each member would finally have a chance to show the world who they were, not just as PRISM, but as individuals. And knowing PRISM, there was absolutely no way those solo stages were going to go according to plan. Chapter 20, PRISM Night. The day of PRISM's first special concert finally arrived. And for the first time since their debut, the 5 members weren't walking onto someone else's stage. They were preparing for their own. PRISM Night. 1 night, 6 performances, 5 solo stages, 1 finale, and thousands of fans waiting outside. 8 a.m., backstage. Jiwon stood in front of the schedule board. He read it twice. Then a third time. 6 songs. Seojun stood beside him. 5 solo stages. Yoobin nodded. Opening performance. Taehyun added. And finale. Minwoo looked at the schedule. That's a lot. Seojun smiled. We're PRISM. Jiwon laughed. That's not an explanation. It is. 10 a.m., rehearsal. The concert venue was enormous. A giant PRISM logo hung above the main stage. Multiple screens surrounded the arena. Purple lights covered the ceiling. A long runway extended from the main stage into the audience. And at the very end was a smaller platform. The members stared at it. Seojun pointed. "That's where we're going." The stage manager nodded. "Yes. That's really far." Jiwon smiled. "We'll run." Taehyun looked at the runway. "During choreography." "Yes." Seojun grinned. "Finally." Minwoo looked at him. "Why are you excited?" "Because I can run." Jiwon sighed. "Please don't sprint." The opening. The 5 members took their positions. The lights went dark. The empty arena suddenly felt enormous. Jiwon looked around. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Seojun whispered, "Imagine tomorrow." Yubin smiled. "Tomorrow. The fans will be here." Taehyun looked toward the empty seats. "They'll fill this place." Minwoo nodded. Jiwon smiled. "Then let's make sure they're glad they came." The music started. PRISM performed the opening. Their movements echoed throughout the empty arena. Even without fans, the stage felt alive. When the rehearsal ended, the staff applauded. The director smiled. "Perfect." 2 p.m., solo stages. The members separated for their individual rehearsals. For the first time, there was no hiding behind the group. Each member had a stage that belonged entirely to them. Jiwon's solo. Jiwon's stage was simple. One spotlight, one microphone, a quiet song. He stood alone in the center. The music began. His voice filled the arena. The empty seats made every note echo. When he finished, the room stayed silent for a moment. Then the director smiled. "Beautiful." Jiwon nodded. But backstage, Seojun was already waiting. "Hung. What? That was amazing." Jiwon smiled. "Thanks." Seojun hugged him. "Now I feel pressured." Jiwon laughed. "Good luck." Seojun's solo. Seojun's stage was completely different. Fast music, heavy choreography, bright lights, a dance break, and, as he had requested, a little bit of sparkle. Jiwon watched from backstage. At least he didn't ask for fire. Minwoo looked at the stage. "Give him time." The music ended. Seojun stood in the center, breathing heavily. The staff applauded. He ran backstage. "Did you see?" Yubin nodded. "You were amazing." Seojun smiled. "I almost fell." Everyone froze. "What?" Seojun laughed. "But I didn't." Jiwon stared. "Please don't tell us that after the rehearsal." Taehyun's solo. Taehyun's stage was elegant. Purple lights. A slow melody. A single chair. He performed with controlled, graceful movements. At the end, he stood beneath a single spotlight. The stage became completely silent. Then he smiled. The rehearsal ended. Seojun whispered, "Wow." Yubin nodded. "That was beautiful." Taehyun smiled. "Thank you." Then he looked toward the side of the stage. A tiny refrigerator prop was sitting there. He stared at it. "Is that Gerald?" Jiwon immediately said, "No." Taehyun smiled. "It looks like him." "It's a prop." "I know. Don't name it." Taehyun walked toward it. "Hello." Jiwon covered his face. Minwoo's solo. Minwoo's stage was the most unexpected. He sat behind a keyboard. No dancers. No complicated effects. Just music. He played the opening notes. A soft melody filled the arena. The members watched from backstage. Jiwon smiled. "This is very Minwoo." Taehyun nodded. "Simple." Yubin smiled. "But emotional." Seojun whispered. "He's going to make people cry." Minwoo finished the song. The staff applauded. Seojun ran toward him. "You made me emotional." Minwoo looked at him. "Really?" "No." Minwoo laughed. "I knew it." Yubin's solo. Yubin's stage was playful. He started with a confident dance. Then interacted with the camera. Then suddenly broke into a completely different style. The members watched. Seojun's eyes widened. "He's good." Jiwon smiled. "Very." Taehyun nodded. "He knows how to control the stage." When Yubin finished, he walked backstage. Seojun immediately bowed. "Please teach me." Yubin laughed. "Teach you what?" "That ending." "No. Please. No. Please. No." Jiwon laughed. "Leave him alone." 6 p.m., the arena fills. The members returned to their waiting room. Outside, the sound of thousands of fans grew louder. Seojun stood near the door. He could hear them chanting, "Prism, Prism, Prism." He smiled. "They're here." Yubin joined him. "So many." Taehyun looked toward the hallway. "I can hear them too." Minwoo checked his microphone. Jiwon stood in the middle of the room. 5 members. 5 custom microphones. 5 different personalities. 1 group. He smiled. Ready. Everyone nodded. Let's go. Prism night. The lights went completely dark. The arena became silent. Then, a single beam of purple light appeared. The Prism logo appeared on the giant screen. The crowd erupted. Prism. The opening music began. Jiwon stepped onto the stage. Seojun followed. Taehyun, Minwoo, Yubin. The 5 members stood together. Then, flashpoint. The arena exploded. Lights, music, confetti. Thousands of fans singing along. Prism performed like they had never performed before. They ran across the stage. Played with the cameras. Moved down the runway. Connected with the audience. And when the first song ended, the screaming barely stopped. Seojun laughed. This is amazing. Jiwon smiled. Keep going. The solo stages. One by one, the members took their individual stages. Jiwon made the arena quiet with his voice. Seojun turned the stage into a dance performance. Taehyun delivered an elegant performance. Minwoo performed his original song. Yubin commanded the stage with his energy. After each performance, the other 4 waited backstage. Cheering, clapping, teasing, supporting. There was no competition, only pride. The final stage. After the solo performances, the arena went dark again. A message appeared on the screen. 5 members. 1 dream. 1 prism. The crowd screamed. The 5 members walked onto the stage. Jiwon looked at them. Together. Seojun grinned. Always. The final song began. It wasn't Flashpoint. It was a new song. One they had never performed before. A song about friendship. About chasing dreams. About 5 people who had started with nothing but hope. Their voices joined together. The audience sang with them. The final chorus grew louder. Jiwon looked toward the crowd. Thousands of lights moved like stars. Seojun smiled. Taehyun looked emotional. Minwoo closed his eyes for a moment. Yubin reached for the others. Their hands joined. 5 members. Together. The final note ended. Silence. Then, the arena erupted. Thank you. Jiwon stepped forward. He held his microphone tightly. Thank you. The crowd screamed. Thank you for believing in us. Seojun wiped his eyes. Yubin laughed softly. Taehyun bowed. Minwoo smiled. Jiwon continued. When we started, we didn't know where we'd end up. He looked at the members. But we knew we wanted to stand here together. The audience cheered. We're still learning. Seojun nodded. We're still making mistakes. Yubin laughed. We're still terrible at being normal. The audience laughed. Taehyun smiled. But, Jiwon looked at the crowd. We're Prism. The members stepped closer. And we're going to keep shining. The lights exploded. Purple confetti filled the arena. The 5 members raised their microphones. The audience shouted their name. Prism, Prism, Prism. After the concert, backstage, the 5 members collapsed onto the floor. Nobody spoke. They were exhausted. Completely exhausted. Seojun finally whispered, "We did it." Minwoo smiled. Yeah. Taehyun leaned against the wall. That was incredible. Yubin looked at the others. I don't want tonight to end. Jiwon smiled. Neither do I. Then Seojun suddenly stood. Wait. Everyone looked at him. Where's Gerald? Jiwon stared. Why? He needs to celebrate too. Taehyun immediately stood. You're right. Yubin laughed. Gerald Jr. Jr. too. Minwoo shook his head. We've lost our minds. Jiwon laughed. Apparently. They returned to the waiting room. There was Gerald Jr. Jr. sitting on the sofa. Taehyun placed the refrigerator keychain beside him. Gerald. Seojun raised his arms. We did it. Yubin put Gerald Jr. Jr. between them. Prism night. Jiwon laughed. 5 idols, 2 fake refrigerators. Minwoo smiled. And 1 unforgettable night. They looked at one another. Then Seojun raised his hand. Chicken. Everyone laughed. Jiwon shook his head. Of course. Later that night, the members finally returned to the dorm. The number 1 plaque was placed on the shelf. Their custom microphones were carefully stored. Their stage outfits were hanging up. The Prism Night poster was on the wall. 5 tired members sat together in the living room. Nobody had the energy to speak. Then Yubin quietly said, "Do you think we'll remember tonight?" Jiwon smiled. Definitely. Taehyun nodded. We'll remember. Minwoo looked around the room. Even years from now. Seojun hugged Gerald Jr. Jr. I'll remember. Jiwon looked at the 4 members. Then smiled. Me too. The 5 of them leaned back. The room became quiet. For once, nobody needed to say anything. They had made it. Not to the end. Not even close. But to a place they'd once thought was impossible. From 5 trainees practicing in a tiny room. To 5 idols standing on a stage in front of thousands. PRISM had changed. Their lives had changed. Their dreams had grown. And whatever came next, they would face it together. Because PRISM wasn't just 5 people sharing a group name. They were 5 friends who had grown up together. 5 idiots who somehow kept succeeding. 5 idols who were terrible at being normal. And they wouldn't have it any other way. PRISM, to be continued. Thank you for listening to II Fiction Stories. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. See you next time.